Chapter 1456. The first to be freed were naturally Armor-breaker, Black Woman, Yellow Lantern Devil, and Een Suah, who were already fierce high-rank fiend demons. The dragon breath of the seven-colored dragon god that originated from the dragon beheading platform passed through their bodies the moment it entered the fiend demon cauldron. The tainted supernatural ability in the seven-colored lake was like a sponge sucking in water, sucking them clean in a short period of time. What was even more surprising was that the colorful, pocket-sized seven-colored dragons were growing stronger as a result. Swoosh! Swoosh swoosh! The pocket-sized seven-colored dragons flew around the fiend demon cauldron and devoured the frozen seven-colored lake water. The pieces of solid amber quickly melted into water. The essence of the Esper abilities within, including the tainted energy, were being devoured by the little rainbow dragons excitedly. Every time the seven-colored dragons grew to a certain extent, they would suddenly split. They would split into even more seven-colored dragons. Every seven-colored dragon god had left behind its dragon breath. Yu Yuan had always treasured this kind of miraculous dragon breath and thought it was unlikely to be replenished. He had never thought that the dragon of space and time's dragon breath could grow stronger through the tainted essence. It was a pleasant surprise. Huang Yin, you lowly things, you actually thought that you could torture the fiendish demons that I refined. Yui couldn't hide the smugness in her eyes. Her delicate little face was overflowing with arrogance. She looked at the Earth Devil Huang Yin as if she was looking at a defeated opponent, a clown. She was mocking him to the max. Impossible! Impossible! Huang Yin and Yuan Qingxi shouted in unison. Their expressions and actions were similar. It was as if they couldn't accept the dragon beheading platform's suppression of them. They couldn't believe that a human junior who had appeared out of nowhere after tens of thousands of years could truly control the dragon beheading platform and unleash its power at the sun god realm. They couldn't believe it. The white bone of the specter god floated to the side. Its eyes were calm as an ancient well. Its hand that held the scroll relaxed. Like an outsider, it silently watched the situation change. It didn't disturb or interfere, as if it wanted to keep watching and see what would happen in the end. An existence like him had already transcended the world. In this strange world, he could see through all the details. Are you surprised? Heh, I'm also a little surprised. As soon as Yu Yuan opened his mouth, he couldn't help but laugh. His mood was incomparably joyous. He guessed that the space-time dragon buried in the dragon beheading platform should be able to restrain Earth Demon. This was because the space-time dragon was also known as the Rainbow Divine Dragon. As he looked at the rainbow lake before him, he could sense that it had some sort of connection with the space-time dragon. Therefore, he believed that the remnant dragon breath of the dragon of space and time could help the fiendish devils recover. He was pleasantly surprised to discover that the space-time dragon's dragon breath could be strengthened through the impure energy of the Rainbow Lake. He watched as the dozens of tiny dragons formed from dragon breaths split up inside the fiendish demon cauldron and turned into hundreds of tiny colorful dragons. The fiendish devils that were frozen by the lake water were able to move freely. Because of this, he could feel that the power he had squandered inside the dragon-slaying platform was slowly being replenished. Suddenly, he thought of the problem his senior martial brother, Zhong Chichen, was facing in the thatched hut above the rainbow cloud miasma sea. Since the power of the space-time dragon could free the fiendish devils and devour the impure energy of the Rainbow Lake, wouldn't it be able to solve his senior martial brother's problem as well? If worst came to worst, he could move his senior martial brother away from the pill cauldron and into the small world inside the dragon-slaying platform where the space-time dragon was buried. With the suppression of the numerous divine chains of order in that small world on the earth demons and the neutralization of the rainbow divine dragon's dragon breath, the impure energy flowing in his senior martial brother's flesh and blood, as well as his path to becoming a fiendish devil, would definitely be stopped. When he thought of this, his eyes shone dazzlingly. His senior martial brother, Zhong Chechen, had done too many things for him in secret. It was all because of his senior martial brother's help that he hadn't been taken away by the ghost shaman sect 300 years later and had finally embarked on the path of self-recovery. You helped me succeed in my rebirth, and I'll help you survive this tribulation. He glanced up at the sky. His gaze seemed to penetrate the layers of obstacles and fell on Zhong Chechen, who was in pain inside the fiery red pill cauldron. Give me a moment. After saying these words, he took a deep breath and stared at the rainbow lake where the bloated fiendish devil was soaking in with an intoxicated expression. His smile grew even more brilliant. Huang Yin, why do I have a feeling that the lake where you were born can also be refined by the space-time dragon? The purple devilish flames in Huang Yin's eyes suddenly burst forth. His face was cold and hard, and his expression was resolute. In the next moment, he landed on the head of the bloated fiendish devil that was in pain. He put some distance between himself and Yu Yuan, and then lowered his head. Holding his chin with one hand, he muttered in a low voice in the mysterious devilish language, as if he was deep in thought. Inside the colorful miasma, inside the rainbow lake, and the numerous devils in the vicinity seemed to have heard his call. In fact, many of the unintelligent and muddled devilish souls wandering in the colorful miasma sea above also heard his call and sank down through secret paths. Yu Yuan's true body was here. Many of the mysteries of the dragon-slaying platform were under his control. Through the vision of the dragon-beheading platform, he could see that tens of thousands of devils, souls, and other things that were tainted by filth were swarming towards the seven-colored lake in a mighty manner. Devils appeared in the sky, in the lake, and in the depths of the earth. However, in Yu Yuan's perception, the devils he had summoned were nothing to be afraid of. Unless Yu Yuan thought of the demon tide that Long Jie had mentioned. If enough devils could be arranged into formations or devoured by their master, they would become terrifying. Be careful of the demon tide. As the rainbow dragons split up and the lake water gradually dried up in the fiendish demon cauldron, Yui's little face finally turned serious. Master, he was once the strongest fiendish devil. He knows all the devil formations in the fiendish demon cauldron. If the devils he summons are large enough, they will be extremely powerful after forming a devil formation. Yu Yuan frowned slightly. He could sense that almost 20,000 devils, souls, and foreign things had appeared in such a short time, and their numbers were quickly accumulating. As one of the Earth Devil progenitors, the number of devils that Huang Yin could use in the seven-colored lake at the center of the filthy lake was definitely far more than the fiend devils in the fiend demon cauldron. If they were arranged into formations and formed the Soul Hell, Death Sea, Soul Rend, and Abyss Devil Mist, it would be very difficult to deal with. Mr. Yuan. The gray fox dressed in human robes that looked like a martial arts practitioner clasped his hands at Yuan Qingshi when Huang Yin summoned the devils. He said with a serious expression, "You should know what to do at this time, right? I don't need you to teach me." Yuan Qingshi smiled darkly. Whoosh. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The voodoo ghosts that he had spent a great deal of effort to refine suddenly reappeared in his mind, as if they had broken through the fabric of space. Surprisingly, Du Jing was also among them. What was different was that Du Jing, who had reappeared, had regained his intelligence. He was scared out of his wits the moment he saw Yu Yuan. The fear that was deeply rooted in his bones made him unwilling to approach or attack Yu Yuan according to Yuan Qingshi's orders. Mas, trembling, Du Jing, who was in his Magus ghost form, only managed to utter a single word before numerous unknown magical symbols and soul strings appeared in his ghostly form. The runes and soul threads intertwined to form a strange talisman that could affect Yu Yuan. Whoosh! Du Jing's spirit was suddenly swallowed by the talisman. He didn't have time to scream or say another word before he was turned into a talisman. The moment the talisman was formed, it started to shine. Yuan Qingshi cooperated with the talisman and used an ancient incantation to activate the power of the unknown talisman. Yu Yuan suddenly felt a sharp pain in his head. He was surprised to find that the parts of his memories related to Du Jing seemed to have turned into sharp blades and thorns that pierced into his soul and messed up his memories. A small character like Du Jing doesn't deserve to be refined into a voodoo ghost by me. It's only because he shares a karmic memory with you, Yuan Qingshi said as he chanted the incantation. As long as he's in your memories, I can continue to cast spells on you with the talisman he's turned into. As one of the patriarchs of the Ghost Witch sect, he turned to look at Huang Yin after Yu Yuan was hit. I can buy you enough time. Don't disappoint me. Chapter 1457. Inside the swamp enveloped by the nether fire poison flowing formation. Clang! Clang! Zhong Qichen, who was inside the fiery red cauldron, seemed to have been awakened from a nightmare. He slammed his head against the cauldron's lid and tried to charge out. The seven-colored, turbid liquid inside the cauldron was boiling and giving off thick clouds of smoke. Du Yazi turned pale with fright. He hurriedly went above the cauldron and stepped on the lid with both feet to prevent Zhong Qichen from escaping. How can this be? Tong Rui's expression was serious as she looked at the medicine god sect master inside the cauldron. She said anxiously, "This has never happened before." In the past, he would first open his eyes inside the cauldron and struggle madly for a while, but he would eventually calm down. We also waited for him to wake up inside the cauldron before we helped him remove the lid and communicate with him. The trader of the jeweling school moved to the front of the cauldron and looked at Zhong Qichen as he spoke. I don't know why he's in such a hurry and wants to leave the cauldron. She, who was skilled at retaining her youthful appearance, looked anxious. Her eyes were full of concern and worry as she looked at Zhong Qichen. Something is definitely not right, He agreed. You can't hold the lid down. Long Jie grinned. He, who was tall and big, stretched out his hand and slowly placed it on the cauldron lid. He motioned for Du Yazi to come down. I think I know the reason. Don't be too nervous. The cauldron lid will release deadly poison. You? Du Yazi reminded. Ha! Long Jie laughed wildly. Don't worry. It's just a diluted miasma from a filthy place. What can you use it to corrupt me? He acted as if he didn't care at all. He even seemed angry at Du Yazi's contempt. His hand suddenly exerted force. Boom! Du Yazi was sent flying by the sudden surge of golden light from the cauldron lid. Whether he was willing or not, he was forced to leave. You should have felt it too, right? Long Jie glanced at Feng Zhong again. Amen. Feng Zhong nodded. Many devils, fiends, and people who have been corroded by the miasma in the Rainbow Cloud Miasma Sea are rushing down through the many hidden underground caves. In my senses, there seems to be someone extraordinary summoning them. To have this kind of power, it must be a great master of the Earth Demon clan. Before Yu Yuan disappeared, he said something about Huang Yin? Even though he was the leader of the Wind Whisperers, his knowledge of the Earth Demon and the Ghost Witch sect was far less than this old dragon. Therefore, he humbly asked for guidance. Yes, Huang Yin is one of the Earth Devil primogenitors. Since Yu Yuan was down there and mentioned him, then it can't be wrong. Long Jie was very calm. He placed his palm on the lid of the cauldron. Zhong Qichen was unconscious and in a state where his spiritual wisdom was not awake. No matter how hard he tried, he could not move the lid of the cauldron. My guess is, Yu Yuan's true body entered the dragon-slaying platform and pressured Huang Yin. As for Huang Yin, with his divine abilities as the ancestor of the Earth Devils, he must be summoning all kinds of evil spirits, and evil spirits to fight Yu Yuan. Long Jie touched his chin with his other hand. I want to go down and take a look too. Feng Zhong was shocked. Hey, I'm just kidding. I'm not going down. Long Jie narrowed his eyes and thought for a while. Then, he seriously suggested, "Don't wait for Yu Yuan's news. Immediately tell the Chamber of Commerce what happened to Zhong Chichen in the Rosy Cloud Miasma Sea." "Senior!" Du Yazi, Tong Rui, and Yi He shouted. "Shut up!" Long Jie harumphed and glared at them fiercely. "You don't know what happened down there. After President Li figures it out, he will immediately tell the Shenhun sect. The Shenhun sect is the most experienced in dealing with the remnants of the Earth Demon and the Ghost Witch sect." "I understand," Feng Zhong hurriedly said. He quickly summoned his artifact and contacted the leader of the Howran Chamber of Commerce in the depths of the Rosy Cloud Miasma Sea. Underground, beside the Seven Colors Lake, as Yuan Qingshi used Du Jing's soul to form the evil curse of the Ghost Witch sect, Yu Yuan's soul started to become chaotic along with the stabbing pain. Because the Yin spirit, the Yang spirit, and the main soul were connected and merged with each other, they all had parts related to Du Jing. Because of this, as soon as the evil curse Yuan Qingshi made with Du Jing took effect, his three souls were all shaken. At this moment, tens of thousands of demons, ghosts, and spirits had already gathered around Huang Yin, who was surrounding the seven-colored lake. There were even more that were rapidly approaching. Huang Yin, who was in deep thought and chanting in the ancient devil language, seemed to need to cast the spell continuously. Only by chanting continuously would he be able to gather all the devils and ghosts hidden within 1,000 miles and arrange them into formations. Once interrupted, the evil formation couldn't be formed, and all of his previous efforts would be in vain. "Master, Master," inside the fiendish demon cauldron, Yui softly called out to Yu Yuan over and over again. She also felt that when Yuan Qingshi used Du Jing to form the evil curse, Yu Yuan's three souls were in a mess, causing the original lines of memory to intertwine disorderly. As a result, Yu Yuan couldn't distinguish the past from the present, and couldn't make sense of the second and third lives. After Hancha's experience and Yu Yuan's experience were disrupted and connected, he couldn't figure out who he was. He didn't even know if he was alive or dead. The Ghost Shaman sect's evil curse was famous for its strangeness in that era. Countless experts fell for it. Only those who had experienced one life would have their memories messed up. They would lose their minds and not be able to tell who they were. Yu Yuan, on the other hand, had the memories of 3 lives. Even if he hadn't awakened the memories of his first life and didn't participate, the backlash from his second and third lives was far more powerful than other cultivators. "It's useless. You're just the soul of the fiendish demon cauldron. What can your shouts do?" When Yuan Qingshi saw that Yu Yuan's soul was in chaos, he knew that the evil curse had taken effect and immediately relaxed. While he was chanting the curse, he could also divert his attention to observe the situation and talk to Yui. In fact, while he was talking to Yui, he was paying close attention to the ghost god and White Bone. The only thing he was afraid of was that White Bone would attack a second time. He was afraid that White Bone would break the evil curse formed by Du Jing's soul and the karmic memories. He knew that White Bone had such power. When he saw that White Bone's expression was cold and had no intention of attacking, he was truly relieved. "Huang Yin, don't hold back. The monster under you can be bolder." The Earth Devil progenitor, who had lowered his head, let out another sound from his chest. This sound didn't conflict with his chanting. The bloated monster's many slippery tentacles suddenly straightened like gray spears. They flashed with a cold light as if they could pierce through anything. The straight tentacles stabbed toward Yu Yuan's body, which was stopped in front of the dragon beheading platform, like lightning. Whoosh! The Earth Devil, who was in the form of a gray fox, cooperated with the monster. Its eyes burned with purple flames and showed complicated runes. It seemed to speed up Yu Yuan's soul's loss of control. The gray fox's hairy hands were clenched into fists and punched at Yu Yuan's chest. Thump! A small dent appeared on Yu Yuan's chest in an instant. The monster's straight tentacles took the opportunity to stab at Yu Yuan's waist, thighs, neck, and arms. At this moment, Yu Yuan felt as if 10,000 swords had pierced his body, but he didn't feel pain. His face and eyes were full of confusion. Master! Yu Yi flew out of the fiendish demon cauldron. With a thought, Consort Han, who had turned into a sharp ice blade, flew into her hand. She held her ice blade and struggled to cut off the tentacles of those monsters, wanting to cut them off one by one. However, more slippery tentacles from the bloated monster flew out and tangled with her figure in midair. The tentacles that filled the sky surrounded her, and her space to move became narrow. She was busy dealing with the tentacles and couldn't save Yu Yuan. The gray fox snorted and punched the air with its small fist. Yu Yi, who was holding the ice blade, suddenly suffered a heavy blow. Her delicate and beautiful figure stumbled back. Soon after, she was entangled by numerous slippery tentacles and was quickly submerged within. Chapter 1458. Yu Yi and the ice blade were swallowed by the tentacles and disappeared. The profound connection between her and the fiendish devils in the fiendish demon cauldron was also blocked. She couldn't summon the fiendish devils to fight with her mind when she was trapped in the tentacles. Swoosh! Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh! Tiny, pocket-sized dragons flew out of the fiendish demon cauldron, floating above the dragon-slaying platform. They merged into the dragon-slaying platform and replenished the dragon of space and time's energy consumption over the years. There was no longer any seven-colored lake water in the cauldron. The fiendish devils were at different levels in the small world inside the cauldron, waiting for orders at a loss. Neither Yu Yuan, the master of the cauldron, nor Yu Yi, the soul of the cauldron, could communicate with the fiendish demon cauldron. Neither of them could summon the fiendish devils. On the 10th level, the only intelligent spirit raccoon had been cut in half. Right now, the spirit raccoon was doing its best to draw power from the fiendish devils below and reconnect its split body. It couldn't help anyone. He's still too young. He doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Yuan Qingxi chanted while paying attention to White Bone's movements. The voodoo ghosts behind him were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as if they wanted to kill Yu Yuan, but they were all stopped by him. That was because Yu Yuan's chest, neck, waist, and other vital points had all been pierced by the fiendish devil's tentacles. The moment the spear-like tentacles pierced Yu Yuan's body, most of the fiendish devils that were submerged in the seven-colored lake made strange sounds of teeth gnawing on flesh. Hearing that sound, Yuan Qingxi knew that the fiendish devils had made their move, so he stopped the voodoo ghosts from doing anything unnecessary. He didn't want the fiendish devils to think that he had ordered the voodoo ghosts to steal food. Unbelievable, unbelievably vast blood power. I've never heard of such a wondrous and pure blood power. The Earth Devil progenitor, Huang Yin, suddenly cried out. His pondering posture changed and he couldn't help but look up. Purple flames burned in the depths of his empty eye socket. His cry came from the inside of the fiendish devils he had refined, as if it was his other soul. His chanting had never stopped, summoning the fiendish devils, ghosts, and other races of the heavens. Mr. Yuan, you might not be able to imagine, but the essence of this child's flesh and blood. Huang Yin furrowed his brows, as if he couldn't find the right word to describe it. He's scary, and he's scary in a different form. It's not at the level of the soul like the Shenhun sect, but it's as tough as a demon god's flesh. The moment the tentacles pierced into Yu Yuan's flesh, Huang Yin felt a boundless blood aura that was as deep as the sea. Huang Yin had never seen such a vast and mighty blood aura, which contained the power of life and fortune, from his old enemy of the Shenhun sect. In this brand new era, only the Aragami, the White Heavenly Tiger, and the Qilin, or the elite foreign race warriors from the outer space could possess such blood energy. As for the blood energy in Yu Yuan's body, Huang Yin felt that the wonders and divine abilities contained within it might even surpass that of a Yao god. Woo! Woo woo woo! In the seven-colored lake, the strange bloated monster's thousands of tentacles began to sway madly. The demon heads and the strange objects that looked like eyes on the tentacles looked at Huang Yin as if they were begging for something. It couldn't wait any longer. Huang Yin smiled cheerfully and nodded, saying, "If you want to eat, then so be it." Even more excited howls came from all of the monster's tentacles. The straight tentacles that pierced into Yu Yuan's body suddenly became colorful. In reality, rays of rainbow light flew through the tentacles and flowed from the monster's body to Yu Yuan. Poof! Poof poof! The tentacles took root in Yu Yuan's vitals, and the extra rainbow power sputtered out like small fireworks. All of a sudden, Yu Yuan's refined body, which was full of power, became slightly shriveled. Glug glug! The blood and flesh in his body seemed to be wrapped by the red rainbow light and pulled into the monster's body. The bloated monster smelled the delicious blood energy that it couldn't even dream of. It trembled in the seven-colored lake and began to move slowly. It approached Yu Yuan of its own accord. What will happen to it? I don't know why, but I feel like… Yuan Qingxi's temples were throbbing. He had never seen the monster in such a frenzied state before. On the other hand, Yu Yuan looked very confused because of the abnormality of his three souls and the confusion of his memories. He didn't know that his flesh and blood essence energy was being quickly taken away from his body by the blade-like tentacles of the bloated monster. However, in this state, Yu Yuan's expression was strangely calm. It was as if he couldn't even feel pain, even if his three souls were out of control and his memories were in chaos. He should have instinctively reacted to that degree of pain, right? Yuan Qingxi clearly remembered that the people who had their flesh and blood eaten by this monster in the past were all tortured as if they had been cut to pieces. They couldn't live. They couldn't die. He had never seen a living being with flesh and blood as calm as Yu Yuan when the monster's tentacles pierced into their body and took away their flesh and blood. Even if Yu Yuan's self-consciousness had been destroyed by his evil curse. As for what it will become, I don't know. Mr. Yuan, this boy's flesh and blood actually contains the power of creation of life. And there's also the pure essence of Yin's sunflower. You probably didn't expect him to be so unconventional and powerful, did you? Huang Yin also became excited along with the monster. Perhaps it will transform into something we can't imagine through this boy. I have a feeling that after it transforms, it will have the power to challenge the Supreme. As the Earth Devil progenitor, he danced with joy and laughed strangely. We've been suppressed for tens of thousands of years, and we seem to have received the favor and compensation of the heavens. That's why they sent us such a big meal for it to enjoy. Roar. A long roar, as if it had been suppressed for tens of thousands of years, suddenly released at this moment. Roar. Woo woo woo. Roar. More than 50,000 demons, ghosts, and other races responded to him, causing the sky around the seven-colored lake to distort and collapse, and the earth to tremble. No. I don't feel good. Something's wrong. Yuan Qingxi screamed. But his screams were completely drowned out by the cries of the demons, ghosts, and infected spirits. Huang Yin, who was in a state of madness and excitement, didn't hear him. Or rather, Huang Yin was immersed in his own world and didn't pay attention to him at all. Splash! The mountain-like monster suddenly jumped out of the seven-colored lake. Its strange body seemed to stagger, and it seemed to be in a sorry state. Huang Yin, watch out! Yuan Qingxi screamed again, and let out a soul howl that went straight to Huang Yin's soul. He felt that the bloated monster didn't jump out of the seven-colored lake with its own strength. Instead, it was as if he was being pulled by someone, forcefully dragged, and forced to suddenly fly away. Who could pull it? Who was it connected to? Or Yui, who was entangled by its tentacles? Either that or Yu Yuan, whose body was pierced by its tentacles. Swoosh! Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 7-colored light that was visible to the naked eye flashed across its enormous body like lightning. It seemed to be scraping away its essence and blood energy, causing its enormous body to shrink visibly. Immediately afterwards, the multicolored light that had become thicker and wider rapidly shot out of the tentacles and into Yu Yuan's body. Yu Yuan's refined body, which had just shriveled up, suddenly expanded and quickly recovered to its original size. Through this small change, Yu Yuan's body seemed to have digested all the 7-colored light it had absorbed from the monster's body. It even seemed that it hadn't had enough. He's instinctively counterattacking. Huang Yin, when he was attacked, he instinctively counterattacked, and he actually. Yuan Qingshi shouted incoherently. He was sure that Yu Yuan's 3 souls were still under the influence of his evil curse, and hadn't been sorted out or adjusted. This also meant that Yu Yuan's counterattack against the monster was only instinctive. Huang Yin's expression suddenly changed. Is that possible? After the bloated monster left the 7-colored lake, a large amount of 7-colored light fused into Yu Yuan's body in a short period of time, and it didn't seem so bloated anymore. Looking at it, it had become much thinner. Whoosh, whoosh. The tentacles that were originally like straight spears piercing Yu Yuan's vitals became slippery and soft, and they were even shaking crazily, up and down greatly. From the looks of it, the monster was desperately trying to retract its tentacles. However, it couldn't do it no matter what. Instead, its body was still rapidly approaching Yu Yuan. Its many souls and consciousness were now trembling in fear, and they were all begging Huang Yin for help. It felt that Yu Yuan's body was like a bottomless pit, and countless evil creatures were squatting in the bottomless pit. Those evil creatures were firmly holding its tentacles and pulling with all their might. They were pulling it, everything it had, into Yu Yuan's body. It was terrified. Chapter 1459. Yu Yuan's expression was extremely calm. When the constantly shrinking bloated monster approached his chest, Yuan Qingshi and Huang Yin were greatly shocked. The 2 evil overlords had no choice but to focus most of their attention on Yu Yuan and the monster. This was because the scene in front of them had a great impact on them. Looking at it, it was indeed too horrifying. It was indescribably strange. Crack. Yu Yi, who was submerged in the slippery tentacles, took the opportunity to wave the sharp ice blade Consort Han had turned into and cut off the tentacles because the monster was using all its strength to resist Yu Yuan. Yu Yi was able to escape. Whoosh, whoosh. The monster's body surged and shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was originally as huge as a mountain, but when it staggered to 10 meters in front of Yu Yuan, it was only 1 meter tall. It seemed that its flesh and blood essence, the bones and tendons that built its body, had almost been extracted by Yu Yuan. Soon, it reached Yu Yuan's chest. At this time, it could no longer howl or cry for help. Its body, which had shrunk to the size of a fist, looked very strange. It looked like a meatball with a lot of whiskers. The so-called whiskers were the thick tentacles that were as tough as spears or slippery and flexible before. When the essence energy in the tentacles was extracted by Yu Yuan, they became whiskers. Finally, the meatball-like monster and the slender whisker tentacles disappeared into the small world of qi and blood in Yu Yuan's chest with a whoosh. In the Xian Men acupoint, Yu Yuan's scarlet yang spirit, which was as red as a crystal, changed into the appearance of the life altar. After some slight adjustments, it turned into a magical state that looked like a millstone. The sparkling millstone slowly rotated, and the dismembered monster was quickly crushed into pure blood and soul. Sizzle! The filth that was useless to Yu Yuan sputtered out from the edge of the millstone, turning into colorful light and smoke. In Yuan Qingshi and Huang Yin's eyes, after Yu Yuan swallowed the fiend, colorful mist flowed out of his pores. Yu Yuan's entire body was shrouded in colorful clouds and mist. Even his face had become mysterious and dreamy. Yuan Qingxi and Huang Yin stared blankly at him, their hearts filled with bitterness and helplessness. The two sinister devils, who had stayed in the tainted underground world for countless years, saw the mist rising from Yu Yuan's body, and realized that the monster had been refined by Yu Yuan within a short time. After the devil monster broke free and left, Earth Devil progenitor Huang Yin, who had stayed behind at the seven-colored lake, felt his face tremble. His continuous chanting finally came to a stop. Yuan. The moment Huang Yin opened his mouth, he realized that his voice had become much hoarser. Yuan Qingxi's figure, which was floating in the air, suddenly shook. The talisman he had refined with Du Jing's soul flickered violently like a will-o'-the-wisp. He looked at Yu Yuan in shock. In Yu Yuan's small world of qi and blood, the millstone that had melted the fiend had stopped rotating. His yang spirit was enveloped in multicolored light and once again condensed into a human form. Inside the yang spirit's body, which was as translucent as red jade, many colorful spots exploded one by one. The colorful spots were the fiend's complicated and changeable soul. When it melted into Yu Yuan's yang spirit, his yang spirit naturally integrated and sorted out with the extreme intelligent soul tempering technique. This was an instinctive reaction. As soon as the extreme intelligent soul tempering technique was activated, his yang spirit instantly opened the all-seeing eye. He immediately knew that his soul was struggling and being affected by the evil curse in his main body's sea of consciousness. Therefore, he used his yang spirit's power and the wonders of the dragon beheading platform to greatly strengthen the all-seeing eye. In the depths of his sea of consciousness, where the yin spirit, the main soul, and the yang spirit's soul were projected, grayish-black lines of memory inexplicably appeared and were torn apart by his soul. Every time a line was broken, Yuan Qingxi's hand, which was holding the talisman, trembled. With the help of Yu Yuan's powerful, all-seeing eye, the clusters of memories and consciousness that Yu Yuan had created were gradually arranged in the right place. In the illusory spirit body of the yin spirit, which dominated the memories, there seemed to be thousands of rivers of memories. They were originally mixed together, but they were suddenly separated and no longer clustered together. During this process, Yuan Qingxi's expression became more and more serious as he chanted the incantation. He constantly endowed the evil curse with new wonders. Unfortunately, the evil curse was made from Du Jing's soul, and Du Jing's body was too weak. The evil curse couldn't withstand Yuan Qingxi's subsequent soul force at all. He planned to use the evil curse to accommodate the three mark. Before the first mark was formed, the evil curse was like a candle that had been burned out, no longer emitting flames and energy. At this moment, Yu Yuan regained his clarity and recalled what had happened. Just now I seem to have eaten something. Licking the corner of his mouth, he looked down at his chest and found that he was shrouded in colorful smoke. The sour smell in the smoke made him feel uncomfortable. He frowned slightly. Whoosh! A wind blew from the ground, blowing away the colorful smoke around him. His body swayed, and he stood firmly on the dragon beheading platform. Above his head, Yu Yi had returned to the fiendish demon cauldron. Inside the cauldron, except for Yu Li, who had been cut in two and was healing itself, all the other fiendish demons could be summoned. There are so many materials to refine fiendish demons. Having understood everything, Yu Yuan stood on the dragon beheading platform and looked at the grayish-black clouds that filled the sky. There were demons, ghosts, and corporeal spirits approaching numbly. He suddenly laughed. Careful, the demon wave has formed. Yu Yi reminded him in a low voice, telling him not to lower his guard and underestimate the power of the demon wave. It's okay. Yu Yuan waved his hand, indicating that she didn't need to be so nervous. He glanced at Yuan Qingxi with interest. The ghost witch sex evil curses are really something. I actually fell for it. As for you. He looked at Huang Yin again. Sorry, I just tried it. The tainted supernatural power of this small world doesn't seem to have any effect on me. Once I eat the monster you've been raising, I'll be able to digest all of it, and then I'll be able to easily expel the toxic, turbid energy from it." Huang Yin fell silent. The ghost witch-sect's ancestral patriarch thought deeply for a moment and said, "I feel that your small world of flesh and blood is like a star behemoth with its mouth wide open." Huang Yin's expression trembled. "A star behemoth? I've heard that you took the behemoth essence amber from the Chaos Koan that was suppressed in the Stardust Sea. What surprised me was that you could make your yang spirit undergo such a miraculous change with a few drops of the behemoth essence amber. I admit that I neglected this aspect. I didn't expect your yang spirit to be so unique." Yuan Qingxi sighed. Huang Yin immediately understood. As soon as the monster's tentacles pierced Yu Yuan's body, he felt that something was wrong. The unusually vast flesh aura didn't belong to the cultivators of the Shenhun sect. He thought of the demon gods and the peak warriors of the outsider races, but he still felt that it didn't make sense. After hearing Yuan Qingxi's words and learning that it was the star behemoth's miraculous power, he immediately understood. Every star behemoth that ruled heaven and earth was immune to the taint of this world. The so-called deadly poisons in the world were nothing to them. Of course, that monster couldn't have swallowed Yu Yuan, who contained the miraculous power of the star behemoth. "All right, you've gathered enough monsters. It's time for you to show your power as the ancestor of the Earth Devils." Yu Yuan's eyes were filled with anticipation. He looked at Huang Yin and the black mass of monsters with a bright smile. "I'm the current master of the fiendish demon cauldron. You used to be the strongest fiendish demon and one of the ancestors of the Earth Devils. Let me see if you can take the fiendish demon cauldron for yourself. Let the fiendish demons I painstakingly gathered turn into your demon generals and fight for you." Whoosh! The dragon-slaying platform flew to the sky above the seven-colored lake. He and Huang Yin were only about 10 meters apart. "I can feel that there are a few more powerful Earth Devils that are about to arrive. Huang Yin, I've given you enough time, and I've also given you a chance. You better make good use of it." Whoosh! Whoosh! The pocket-sized seven-colored dragons that had flown into the dragon-slaying platform earlier danced around Yu Yuan. Chapter 1460. Yu Yuan lowered his head and looked at the seven-color lake with a frown. The pocket-sized seven-color dragons danced in the air like dazzling lightning bolt. They exuded obvious signs of life and faint spatial auras. Gradually, a rosy glow appeared in the depths of Yu Yuan's eyes. ZZZT. The edges of the dragon beheading platform rippled with rainbow light as if they were helping him sense something. "What are you looking at, kid?" Huang Yin didn't look panicked at all. He looked calm as he followed Yu Yuan's gaze and looked at the seven-color lake. "Do you want to go down there?" "It's not like I can't." Yu Yuan smiled. Before he had attacked, he had sensed unusual spatial fluctuations at the bottom of the seven-color lake. The place where the bloated devil monster's enormous body had been was the place where the spatial fluctuations were the most obvious. He couldn't help but associate it with the gate of Origin Realm. He suspected that there was a secret passage at the bottom of the seven-color lake that was connected to the outside world. However, even with the power of the dragon beheading platform, he couldn't see through the murky water of the seven-color lake. He could only vaguely sense that the faint spatial fluctuations were coming from the bottom of the lake. "What did you sense?" White Bones, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly said this by the lakeside. He saw the strange look in Yu Yuan's eyes. "Oh!" Yu Yuan was slightly surprised. He hadn't expected Bai Gu, who had been watching from the sidelines, to suddenly speak. "I sensed the spatial fluctuations, but I couldn't see them clearly. However, I suspect that they may have been bewitched by the god of the Origin Realm and opened a door at the bottom of the lake in response to the god of the Origin Realm." Yu Yuan's lips curled into a cold smile as he stopped being polite. I can accept an internal conflict in Howren. However, if the two of you colluded with enemies from the outside world and attacked the forces of Howren from both inside and outside, Qin Lai shook his head. Then I'll have to eliminate them completely. Bai Gu's expression turned cold when he heard this. He looked at Yuan Qingshi with a probing gaze and asked, "Is it like what he said?" Yuan Qingshi, who had always been frank and honest in front of Bai Gu, hesitated for the first time. Yuan Qingshi seemed to be in a difficult position. He wanted to tell the truth, but he seemed to be worried about something. "Mr. Yuan, if you don't open the painting, he is not Yu. Please be careful," Huang Yin shouted sternly. Yuan Qingshi's expression changed slightly. He gritted his teeth and descended from the air. He slowly knelt before Bai Gu and said with his head lowered, "Please forgive me. I can only tell you that everything I've done is for you and the Ghost Witch sect. In order for you to return to this world, lead us, and restore the Ghost Witch sect to its former glory." As he spoke, he continued to kowtow. The respect and love he showed White Bones came from the bottom of his heart, and was not fake at all. Bai Gu quietly looked at him, a light of emotion shining in the depths of its eyes. Furthermore, Bai Gu also felt a trace of guilt towards him. Forget it. Bai Gu did not continue to pursue the matter. Whoosh, whoosh. At the same time, the little seven-colored dragons that surrounded Yu Yuan all flew down to the seven-colored lake below. "You're courting death, aren't you?" Huang Yin's face was gloomy. A ball of purple demonic fire in the depths of his eye sockets flew out and instantly merged with the seven-colored lake below. In the next moment, a fire-breathing flood dragon flew out of the lake. The flood dragon's body seemed to be condensed from the seven-colored lake's water and mixed with something else. This fire-breathing flood dragon only had one eye, and purple demonic fire flickered in its pupil. It was obviously possessed by Huang Yin's demonic soul. Whoosh, whoosh. The strange flood dragon breathed fire at the seven-colored dragons. The aura from the fire was blazing earth fire. When the seven-colored little dragon was hit by the flames, it quickly melted. Boom. Due to the flood dragon's flight, the seven-colored lake's surface also burned with flames. On the other side, the sky was filled with demons, ghosts, and other races that gave off a foul smell. Under the control of Huang Yin, who lacked a purple flame in his eye socket, they started to set up formations. The first formation was none other than Soul Splitter. The surging demons and ghosts roared and screamed. They let out ear-piercing demonic sounds that seemed to want to tear apart anyone who could hear them. When the Soul Split was formed, the space where the dragon beheading platform sat seemed to be cut by an invisible divine blade. The space creaked as if it was about to be torn into pieces. Even the dragon beheading platform, Yu Yuan, and the fiendish demon cauldron seemed to be torn apart. The soul split caused by the demonic wave is indeed interesting. Yu Yuan nodded. Standing on the dragon beheading platform, he lightly stomped his foot. 7 colored ripples suddenly appeared from the edge of the dragon beheading platform and instantly stabilized the space. Go! With a thought, the fiendish demon cauldron floating above his head charged into the surging demons and ghosts. The pitch-black cauldron spun and gradually expanded. Strange changes happened to the devilish patterns on the walls of the cauldron, as if Yu Yuan's soul strands were rearranging them and carving them into new patterns. Inky soul power emerged from the devilish patterns, and the mouth of the fiendish demon cauldron suddenly turned into a pool that could devour souls. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Before the soul split was fully formed, the demons and ghosts within it poured into the fiendish demon cauldron like a downpour. Then, they disappeared into the small world inside the cauldron. The sealing heaven soul transforming formation. The soul transforming pool. Yuan Qingshi and Huang Yin were flabbergasted. At this moment, the complicated devilish patterns on the walls of the pitch-black cauldron became incomparably mysterious. The aura and scent they exuded weren't what the fiendish demon cauldron should have. The devilish patterns on the walls of the soul-transforming pool in the forbidden land of the fallen moons were the same. They were the wondrous spell formations of the Shunhun sect. They were designed to deal with the foreign beings that were roaring in the forbidden land of the fallen moons, including the heavenly devils that had been deliberately released from the interrealm tunnels. The heavenly devils had been created by the Shunhun sect back in the day for their disciples to refine. Not to mention the low-level devils and ghosts above his head, who were far less powerful than the extraterrestrial devils and had no intelligence at all. In the blink of an eye, nearly 10,000 demons and ghosts were devoured by the fiendish demon cauldron. They were sucked into the small world inside the cauldron and sucked into the depression at the bottom of the stairs. As soon as they entered the depression, they couldn't move at all, as if they had been nailed to the ground by steel nails. Under Yu's control, the cauldron began to refine them and turn them into tamed fiendish devils. Yu. As one of the ancestors of the Earth Devils, Huang Yin shuddered with pain as he watched the demons and ghosts he had summoned being sucked into the fiendish demon cauldron. Of course, the fiendish demon sect's secret magics and spell formations alone wouldn't be able to do this, but you seem to have forgotten where I started my cultivation journey. Don't you know that I slaughtered everyone in the forbidden land of the fallen moons with the help of the soul refining pool and the heaven-sealing soul refining formation? Yu Yuan let out a mocking laugh. Since I'm so familiar with the soul refining pool that I even carved the 9 slashes into its walls, of course I know about its wonders. I still have to use the Shunhun sect's methods and spell formations to deal with you. After all, you were wiped out by the Shunhun sect. With these words, another 20,000 demons and ghosts disappeared into the mouth of the cauldron. Huang Yin felt like he was about to lose his mind. He started chanting again, using the ancient demonic language to drive the ghosts and ghosts away. However, it didn't seem to have any effect. I'm very grateful to you now, Huang Yin. I'm doing this out of sincerity. Whether or not the fiendish demon cauldron can become as powerful as it used to be will depend on this. Standing on the dragon beheading platform, Yu Yuan closed his eyes and focused on operating the soul-refining formation. Whoosh! Whoosh! As soon as the fiendish demon cauldron's spell formation changed, the ghosts, and other beings in the shape of spirits were sucked into the cauldron like rust by a magnet. Chapter 1461. On the surface, Zhong Qichen had already opened his eyes inside the pill cauldron. 2 balls of purple flames burned deep within his pupils, causing him to crazily hit the cauldron lid. However, because Long Jie was pressing down with one hand, the cauldron lid did not move at all. Zhong Qichen, who had not regained his intelligence and was only relying on his instincts and brute force, obviously could not affect the cauldron lid that Long Jie was pressing down on. Looking at the purple flames deep within Zhong Qichen's opened eyes that seemed to be formed from his soul, the old dragon said indifferently, "He's about to become a demon. It's best that the Chamber of Commerce and the Shunhun sect let me deal with him as soon as possible." Du Yazi, Tong Rui, and Yi He were extremely anxious. Their pleading gazes fell on Feng Zhong. Feng Zhong knew that the old lecherous dragon did not care about Zhong Qichen's life at all. The only reason he was willing to help press down on the lid was because of Yu Yuan. In reality, even if Zhong Qichen became an earth demon, he was not Long Jie's match here. Suddenly, a soul thought came from the jade pendant hanging around Feng Zhong's neck. His expression immediately became strange. "Is there news from the Chamber of Commerce?" Long Jie asked with a grin. Feng Zhong had reported Zhong Qichen's situation, Yu Yuan's encounter in the turbid underground world, the earth demon progenitor Huang Yin, and the ghost which sects Yuan Qingxi to the Chamber of Commerce not long ago. From the change in Feng Zhong's expression, the old dragon knew that the Chamber of Commerce must have responded. The other 3 medicine god sect foreign delegates looked over in fear, worried that the Chamber of Commerce would get rid of Zhong Chichen to prevent future trouble. Mr. Feng, sect master Zhong, has never harmed anyone. He is kind and takes good care of us. His character is well known. He became like this because he was harmed by others. Please don't be ruthless. Tong Rui begged bitterly. Don't worry, it's not what you think. Feng Zhong's expression was strange. President Li personally responded. He hopes that Senior Long will watch over Zhong Chichen for now and not let him leave the pill cauldron. As for Yu Yuan, Feng Zhong looked at his feet, coughed twice, and said, the Shunhun sect told President Li not to worry too much about Yu Yuan's safety underground. The Shunhun sect seems to be very confident in Yu Yuan. They seem to think that even if he's in a territory that benefits Earth Demon and the Ghost Witch sect, he won't suffer any losses. Long Jie and the 3 people from the Medicine God sect were stunned when they heard this. How could the Shunhun sect trust Yu Yuan so much? Deep underground, as the fiendish demon cauldron's Mageweth array changed into the soul-dispersing array, the sky full of demons and wraiths fell like rain. In an extremely short period of time, another 10 to 20,000 devil souls were devoured. In the small world inside the cauldron, Yue refined them and transformed them into new fiendish devils. Yue was extremely excited. She shuttled through the cauldron and sensed the inky soul energy seeping out of the cauldron's walls. She knew that the appearance of the soul-dissolving formation meant that Yuan Xing had comprehended more and more of the Shunhun sect's secret art. He was getting closer and closer to that person. As for the fiendish demon cauldron, it would undergo a tremendous change because of this harvest. From the time she awakened until now, the number of fiendish devils that had appeared had never been as many as this. Whoosh! A crimson bolt of lightning suddenly flew out of Yu Yuan's chest and shot directly toward Huang Yin. The crimson bolt of lightning transformed into his yang spirit body in midair. Holding Gendo's blood prison, he first slashed at the fire dragon that had flown out of the lake. The flood dragon continued to spit out earth fire and devour the little 7-colored dragons one after another. However, under blood prison's blade light, it was instantly cut in 2 and sank back into the lake. Just as the fire dragon was about to condense again, Yu Yuan's yang spirit arrived in front of Huang Yin. Dozens of bloody lights flew out and drowned Huang Yin. Clang! Clang clang! Huang Yin's possessed body was slashed by blood prison's blade light and blade light. The sound of metal being forged rang out, and many colorful sparks flew out. This body that Huang Yin had refined into a fiendish body was as hard as divine metal. A body that was once a nascent soul. After being refined by you, it does have some skill. Yu Yuan's main body, who was still standing on the dragon-slaying platform and operating the soul transformation array, could not help but exclaim in admiration when she saw the Yang god brandishing her saber continuously, but Huang Yin's devil body did not split into pieces. While he was praising Huang Yin, more than half of the fiendish generals and spirits in the sky had disappeared. The fiendish generals and spirits that weren't within the range of the soul-dissolving array and hadn't been sucked in began to frantically flee. Mr. Yuan? You're just going to watch and not enter? On the dragon-slaying platform, Yu Yuan saw that Huang Yin didn't speak, so he looked at the Ghost Witch sect's patriarch. You seem a little surprised? Haha, you know that when the Shunhun sect gradually grew stronger, they created many secret soul techniques to deal with the otherworldly demons, in order to fight the otherworldly demons head-on in the vast starry sky. I feel that the earth demons born in Howren and the otherworldly demons are about the same. Isn't it appropriate for me to use the Shunhun sect's soul techniques and arrays to break Huang Yin's fiendish generals that filled the sky? Yu Yuan couldn't help but laugh. Yuan Qingxi's face was gloomy. His body, which was kneeling in front of the skeleton, suddenly straightened. Whoosh! In an instant, he was side by side with the gray fox in long robes. The gray fox, which had also been refined by the earth demon, wasn't surprised to see Yuan Qingshi suddenly come over. It even nodded at him. Then, the gray fox slowly opened its mouth. Like moths to a flame, the voodoo ghosts that had been refined like Du Jing voluntarily entered the gray fox's open mouth. Within the gray fox's body, the voodoo ghosts tore at each other like pieces of cloth, trying to fuse together. Mr. Yuan, I'm very curious. Why did you choose me so early? When I was still haunch, I couldn't cultivate at all. I only had a little talent in alchemy, but you chose me and painstakingly set up the ghost witch reincarnation array to help me strengthen the three souls. You even taught my master how to refine the reincarnation pill. Why me? While the sun god and Huang Yin were fighting fiercely, Yu Yuan's true body was talking to Yuan Qingshi with a smile. He could see that Yuan Qingshi had fused the voodoo ghosts into the gray fox's body to form a new evil curse. Gray Fox's body was able to bear the power of the new heresy curse and unleash its power. It wasn't like Du Jing, who turned into ashes as soon as he suffered a backlash. But he wasn't worried. You went to the medicine god sect and saw the array in that secret room? You even know that array is called the Ghost Witch Reincarnation Array. Yuan Qingshi was a little surprised. Since you know that I'm not harming you, why are you still going against me and the Ghost Witch sect? Because I'm a member of the Shenhun sect. Yu Yuan looked at him as if he was looking at a fool. Yuan Qingshi was silent for a moment and said, "You should have been one of us." When he said this, he felt very regretful. He was proud of his judgment. The stronger Yu Yuan was at this moment, the more accurate his judgment was. He felt that it was a pity that such a good cultivation seedling had become a member of the Shenhun sect. He was very unwilling to accept this. How good would it be if he was one of us? When he thought of this, Yuan Qingshi couldn't help but look at the sky, his face full of viciousness. Zhong Qichen ruined our plans. If it weren't for him, you would be famous in the world as a member of the Ghost Witch sect. If it weren't for him, you would have integrated the Guifu school and voodoo long ago. 300 years. You've wasted 300 years. If you had 300 more years, what would you be like? Yuan Qingshi roared angrily. Then, dense runes gradually appeared on his face, neck and exposed skin. An extremely ferocious aura was brewing in his body. I've wasted 300 years? Yu Yuan narrowed his eyes and whispered. Yuan Qingshi seemed to have prepared everything for him. He was optimistic that he could integrate the Guifu school and voodoo. He felt that if he woke up early and became a member of the Ghost Witch sect, he would also be able to run rampant in the world. He would also have a brilliant and magical life. I still have the same question. Why me? Yu Yuan asked again. Yuan Qingshi suddenly looked at Bai Gu. Bai Gu was also stunned and asked blankly, "Why are you looking at me? You chose me." "Sorry, there's only one chapter today. In the midst of the typhoon in Yangzhou, there was a new case this morning. Then, the whole city was in chaos. The neighborhood was half closed, the whole family asked for nucleic acid, and the supermarket stocked up on supplies. Think about it. You should understand why I only have one chapter." Cupping my hands. Chapter 1462. I chose him. Bai Gu's expression was shocked as he poked himself with a finger. The white light in his eyes that was related to his memories appeared bit by bit and exploded like firework. As he walked through the world as a skeleton, his life experiences flashed through his mind in an instant. Those memories were clear and vivid. He believed that with his current realm, there was no way he would miss any of them. However, he didn't find any memories related to choosing Yu Yuan. When the Yang god held Gendo's blood prison and summoned the 7 blood souls to fight with Huang Yin, Yu Yuan's true body also had a strange and confused expression. Was it white bones that chose me? Yu Yuan thought for a moment and felt that it didn't make sense at all. If Yuan Qingshi hadn't said this to Bai Gu, but to him, he would have doubted the authenticity of Yuan Qingshi's words. However, Yuan Qingshi clearly didn't dare to lie to Bai Gu. Yu Ling, who had turned into a Wu ghost, had appeared thousands of years ago. Because Yu Ling hadn't reached the ultimate realm, he had never woken up. Evil King Yushun had died 700 years ago. When he entered the nascent spirit realm, he was awakened by Yuan Qingshi with the painting. However, the timing was also wrong. As for Bai Gu, 300 years ago, he might have been a Wu ghost in the Land of Terror or an insignificant ghost of a lower level. He was far from being able to wake up. Bai Gu couldn't recover himself, and Yuan Qingshi wouldn't use the painting to wake him up because of his orders. That's not possible. Bai Gu frowned and his expression turned cold. He was somewhat displeased. Yuan Qingshi, who had put the Wu ghost into Grey Fox's body and formed a new evil curse, panicked when he saw Bai Gu get angry. He immediately explained, "Master, the painting in your hand is a peerless evil artifact of our ghost witch sect. Not only are your memories sealed inside, there is also a wisp of your consciousness. This consciousness has intelligence and spirituality. It is responsible for taking care of the memories you have forgotten. However, there is no possibility of it becoming stronger or evolving, and it can never leave the painting. Let's put it this way. It's like a human without limbs and flesh, and only has a brain. There's still a bit of intelligence and spirituality in his head, which allows him to transmit orders to me through that painting. Over the years, the spiritual consciousness that you lost guided this old servant to do many things." Yuan Qingshi lowered his head and said respectfully, "As long as you're willing to open the scroll, the wisp of consciousness that belongs to you with wisdom and spirituality will instantly merge with you. It will also carry all the memories that you've sealed, allowing you to recall everything and truly wake up." The ghost witch sect's patriarch suddenly became excited as he spoke. His heart was filled with anticipation. He was looking forward to seeing Bai Gu, whose curiosity had been piqued, open the scroll and return in the form of Yu Yu and lead the ghost witch sect back to the surface world. A wisp of intelligent consciousness that originated from me? There is no room for growth, but there is the ability to think. Bai Gu's eyes lit up, and he tightened his grip on the scroll. His intuition told him that there was indeed something in the painting that made him feel a natural sense of closeness. That thing was in the painting in his hand, waiting for him to open it, waiting to merge with him. And then, she would become a part of him. Was it me who made the choice? As Bai Gu muttered to himself, he looked at Yu Yuan in confusion. He didn't know why the consciousness in the painting favored Yu Yuan. Of course it was you. If it weren't for your order, why would I build the ghost witch reincarnation formation for him and go through so much trouble for his reincarnation? To be honest, when you gave me the order, I was also surprised. But, Yuan Qingshi dragged his voice. You were right. This child's talent is indeed extraordinary. If he could have become one of us 300 years ago, he would have been your most capable subordinate. Huh. At this point, the ghost witch sect's patriarch suddenly exclaimed. Bai Gu and Yu Yuan both looked at him. Although he didn't become a member of our ghost witch sect, although he woke up 300 years later. However, Master, it was also because of his help that you were able to enter the Land of Terror, allowing you to quickly advance from Underworld Ghost to Ghost King. It was also because of him that you even surpassed the Nether capital and became the strongest in the Land of Terror. It was because he moved the dragon beheading platform away that you were able to become a supreme ghostly immortal. Yuan Qingshi's body trembled. Could it be, could it be? His incredulous eyes wandered back and forth between Yu Yuan and Bai Gu. After being deeply shocked, Yuan Qingshi's soul and body seemed to be trembling. Could it be that you didn't fail at all? Zhong Chichen's so-called destruction only caused a slight deviation in the line of fate. In the end, He helped you become a god and gave you the power you have now. Yuan Qingxi's eyes flashed with a fanatical light, and he immediately knelt down. Master, you are indeed the supreme leader of our Ghost Witch sect for tens of thousands of years. Your magical power and vision are unfathomable. Indeed, I can't compare to you. He admired Master from the bottom of his heart. Baigu, who was holding the scroll, fell silent because of his words. It also began to wonder what was going on, and its curiosity was piqued by Yuan Qingxi. Even White Bones really wanted to open up the painting and see it clearly. Yuan Qingxi, you really dare to say that? Yu Yuan clicked his tongue in wonder and was also dizzy by his words. The soul-dissolving array in the fiendish demon cauldron also stopped operating at this moment. More than 70,000 ghosts, demons, and spirits without physical bodies were being refined into fiendish demons at this moment. Huang Yin, who had been slashed countless times by Gendo's blood prison, finally had cracks on his body. What flowed out of those cracks was not blood, but rainbow-colored flowing clouds. The demon body refined by Huang Yin was only a little damaged, but the purple demonic fire in his eye sockets was still strong. It meant that he was actually able to withstand the pressure of Yuan Yang God's fierce offensive. I'm not talking nonsense. Yuan Qingxi muttered and then hesitated. He suddenly didn't know what to do next. Gray Fox closed his mouth. The witch ghost in his body had finished integrating and condensing into a strange, evil curse, ready to be used by him. However, after Yuan Qingxi's analysis, he felt that the consciousness in the scroll might not be wrong at all. He even involuntarily came up with a bold idea. Did this kid named Yu Yuan become a member of the Shunhun sect because of Master's arrangement? In reality, he was still a member of the Ghost Witch sect. Was that why he helped Master reach the top of the Land of Despair and become the ghost god in front of him? Master, once he opened the scroll and remembered everything that had happened, could he wake this kid up and make him realize that he had always been a member of the Ghost Witch sect? Yuan Qingxi's mind was filled with thoughts, so he became hesitant to activate the evil curse. He really wanted to ask Baigu for the painting and use the secret method of the Ghost Witch sect to send a soul into the scroll and ask for the attitude of the consciousness inside. Huang Yin, you're really something. Suddenly, Yu Yi floated out of the mouth of the fiend demon cauldron. She looked coldly at the Earth Devil progenitor, who was being slashed by Yu Yuan's sun spirit and Gendo. Back then, I thought that the strongest fiend demons like you were all dead. I didn't expect you to gather 2 of them. As soon as she said this, she sent her soul consciousness into Yu Yuan's mind. Yu Yuan immediately saw and knew that 2 other rank 10 fiend demons like Huang Yin and Yu Li had been gathered and resurrected by Huang Yin in some way. The 2 intelligent fiend demons naturally became Huang Yin's subordinates and were enslaved by him. It seems that you've been plotting for the fiend demon cauldron for a long time. Yu Yuan grinned. Since you wanted the fiend demon cauldron so badly, why didn't you go to the Stardust Sea? You knew that the broken cauldron was at the bottom of the sea. He was afraid of being discovered by the Devil's Palace. Yu Yi snorted. He only dares to hide here and show off. Once he leaves this dirty lake, he doesn't have the ability to do so. Whoosh. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A total of 4 enormous fiend demons suddenly appeared beside Huang Yin as if they had agreed to it. Yu Yuan, who was fighting with Huang Yin, suddenly felt a strong sense of vigilance in his yang spirit body. With a slash of his demon blade, a suction force instantly appeared and sucked in the 7 blood souls. This is good. It's not easy to form fiend demons of the highest level. Since they've come to us, we should gladly accept them. Chapter 1463. There was a tall knight riding a warhorse. His burly body was wrapped in gauze and emitted a rotten smell. The white gauze wrapped around his body was stained with blood, as if it had not been washed for thousands of years. His head had been chopped off, and a dark red soul on his neck condensed into a heroic face that looked heroic and domineering. The headless knight held a short axe in one hand. After he appeared, he put his other hand to his chest and bowed to Yui. Long time no see. On his head, the face formed by his dark red soul was full of nostalgia. It seemed to recall the time when he commanded many fiendish demons and arranged them into a demonic army to help Yui kill her enemies. Seeing that it was him and his respectful actions, Yui, who had always been bad-tempered, nodded and sighed with a complicated expression. "You're still alive." The knight with a soul sitting on his head laughed with a hoarse voice. However, he did not say anything. After the death of the fiend demon sect master, Yui and the cauldron were heavily injured and taken away by the enemy. He had also been beheaded and died. He no longer owed Yui or the original owner any friendship. He could wake up again because of Huang Yin's help. He had to remember this favor. Since things had changed, since they were no longer on the same side, what was the point of saying too much? A spirit snake less than 2 meters long floated in the air. Its body was like black charcoal, and its small eyes flashed with a cruel light as if it was smiling at Yu Yuan. A strong acidic smell came from the black spirit snake, making Yu Yuan feel slightly uncomfortable. Zzzt. Pitch-black lightning suddenly formed in the black snake's abdomen. It seemed to be very destructive to souls and other creatures. Many low-level fiendish demons in the fiend demon cauldron behind the Yang god instinctively felt uneasy because of the crackling lightning. Yu Yuan was shocked. An earth demon had actually taken over and refined such an unconventional thunder snake? Shouldn't the thunder snake bloodline and the lightning imprinted in the snake's body be incompatible with the earth demon? Devil souls and spirits were naturally restrained by thunder and lightning. The reason why earth demons and sky demons from the outer realms refined their devil bodies was to make up for their shortcomings and disadvantages in this aspect. Old demon's ability to refine the thunder snake into a demon body was beyond his expectations. A scarlet banner fluttered in the wind, and the stench of blood was pungent. A hideous and terrifying face slowly took shape, and it let out a wild laugh. The fiendish demon cauldron. Hee, the evil demon cauldron. The deviant soul in the banner let out a strange laugh, as if it were provoking Yui. Traitor! Yui snorted and looked at the face in the scarlet banner. She said in disgust, "I knew it was you. I should have refined you back in the cauldron. Are you regretting it now? Unfortunately, it's too late." After Huang Yin found the deviant soul in the banner, it regained its full strength and broke free from the slave seal of the cauldron. It was not afraid of Yui at all. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A tombstone made of an unknown wood floated in the air like a door. The natural wood patterns on it looked like strange soul strings, giving it a mysterious feeling. As the wooden tombstone swayed slightly in the air, the wood patterns on its surface suddenly came to life. Then, an elegant-looking woman appeared gracefully. She was a pure and ancient earth demon, who had been awakened by Yu Yuan's removal of the dragon beheading platform in the forbidden land of the fallen moons. She didn't look at anyone after she appeared on the tombstone. She didn't even look at Huang Yin, Yu Yuan, or the dragon beheading platform. She only stared at the ghost god and white bones. Yu, it's been tens of thousands of years. I didn't expect to see you again. She had an elegant appearance, and the demonic shadow exuded a noble and dignified aura. The demonic soul seemed to have fused with the wooden plaque, and it was obvious that she had known white bones for tens of thousands of years. The only person she greeted was the ghost god and white bones. However, the ghost god didn't respond after taking a glance at her, because it didn't remember who she was. It didn't even nod its head. You're still as bad-tempered as before. The woman in the wooden tombstone didn't seem to mind. With a smile, she turned to look at the blood souls that Yu Yuan had absorbed into his gendo. You reacted fast enough. If you had been a bit later, these blood souls wouldn't have been able to return. Not necessarily. Holding the Gendo's yang spirit in his hand, Yu Yuan smiled brightly. He didn't seem to be frightened by the arrival of the four. According to Yu Yi's message, the Headless Knight and the Soul in the Scarlet Banner were all powerful fiendish devils who had accompanied Yu Yi and the former master of the fiendish demon cauldron on expeditions. After the knight's soul had awakened, he had willingly followed Yu Yi's orders and fought at the forefront of the battlefield. The soul in the banner had regained its memories, and was closer to Huang Yin. It had been bewitched by Huang Yin several times, and had been uneasy before. However, like Huang Yin, the soul couldn't break free from the fiendish demon cauldron. Whether it was willing or not, it was forced to fight. It was also because of this that Yu Yi had a very different impression of the Headless Horseman and the shade in the banner. The charcoal-like spirit snake with lightning in its belly had been possessed and refined by a powerful earth devil. This earth devil wasn't born in the beginning, but was a product of recent times. Therefore, he wasn't familiar with the ghost god and didn't respect it. Elegant demonic shadow, who had refined the mysterious wooden tombstone and used it as a hiding place, was an ancient earth devil like Huang Yin. Perhaps she had fought side by side with Yu Yu. After all, the Ghost Witch sect and the Earth Devils had always been strong allies. It had been so since ancient times. She recognized Yu Yu, and only Yu Yu. She knew everything that had happened to Yu Yu, so she took the initiative to greet him after meeting him. The four mutants that had suddenly appeared were different from the blood souls in Gendo. All of them had complete intelligence and spirituality. They were powerful to begin with, and they had appeared in this filthy place where they could unleash their power. Yu Yuan had sensed that they could devour and refine the 7 blood souls, so he had pulled them back to Gendo in time. However, Yu Yuan didn't agree with the confident words of elegant demonic shadow in the wooden tombstone. "Do you think my cauldron is fake?" The one who spoke again was Yu Yuan's main body standing on the dragon beheading platform. Whoosh! The dragon beheading platform drifted over. His yang spirit and main body stood on it together, and his main body spoke. "The 4 of you are indeed extraordinary. You are either spirit souls at the level of ghost kings or earth devils at the level of demon gods. You are full of spirituality and there is room for growth. I am very surprised." "Surprised? What are you surprised about?" the soul in the Scarlet Banner shouted. "Low-level fiendish demons are easy to find, but powerful fiendish demons require luck and opportunity. My cauldron doesn't lack low-level fiendish demons, but it lacks fiendish demons like you," Yu Yuan said seriously. Whether it was the fiendish demons of the past or the earth devils of the ancient and new era, they were all powerful enough. Once he pulled them into the cauldron and branded them with the cauldron's unique mark, he could distort their spirituality and enslave them for his own use. Whether this cauldron could return to the ranks of divine artifacts depended on the number and grade of powerful fiendish demons. The 4 in front of him were all of the best quality, so Yu Yuan was satisfied. "I want the fiendish demon cauldron. I have been enslaved by this cauldron for an era. I need to control it in order to wash away my shame." Huang Yin shouted. He looked at Yuan Qingshi. "All right." Yuan Qingshi nodded. Seeing that Bai Gu didn't stop him, he activated the evil curse in Grey Fox's body to cooperate with Huang Yin and the 4 fiendish demons. "You're the one who laughs the loudest." Yu Yuan's yang spirit body pointed at the Scarlet Banner. He grinned and said in an unquestionable tone, "Come here." The soul in the Scarlet Banner was about to mock him when it sensed something strange. The Scarlet Banner he had refined and his soul seemed to be grabbed by an invisible hand, and flew towards Yu Yuan without any hesitation. Chapter 1464. The moment the blood-red banner appeared, Yu Yuan could sense that it came from the blood god. The soul within it had obtained this banner thanks to Huang Yin's help. Then, it had refined it into a new body and comprehended several types of blood god's blood pattern arrays inside the banner. As a result, the banner and the Gendo blood prison under Yu Yuan's control overlapped in some ways. According to Yue, the soul called the red blood leech was originally a blood-sucking insect. It had unwittingly absorbed the blood of a severely injured greater demon, which was why it suddenly gained spirituality. However, the red blood leech couldn't withstand the power of the demon blood at all and exploded during the transformation process. The demon blood allowed the dead red blood leech's remnant soul to gain intelligence. Yue had accidentally obtained it and pulled it into the cauldron to refine. After becoming a fiend demon, the red blood leech's luck was extremely good. It strengthened itself step by step and finally reached the 10th level. After waking up, the red blood leech had regained its intelligence and memories. It had always been close to Huang Yin and Yue had never liked it. It was the same now. It was called the red blood leech. Its original body was a blood-sucking insect. After obtaining a banner from the Divine Blood Church, it comprehended the intricacies of the banner and combined it with its original imprint, causing the Scarlet Banner to become quite ferocious. However, the person he was facing now was Yu Yuan, who had refined the great demon god Grek's blood crystal and merged it into the life altar. He had also consumed the blood essence of countless outsiders and great demons. The red blood leech only drank the blood of living beings. Yu Yuan, on the other hand, could eat skin, flesh, tendons, bones, and even souls clean. He was naturally suppressed by Yu Yuan as an enemy. It was like a mayfly trying to shake a tree. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh! The scarlet banner that rang in the air was no longer under the red blood leech's control. Before anyone could react, it had already arrived in front of Yu Yuan's yang spirit. Yu Yuan's yang spirit, whose body was like beautiful scarlet jade and sparkling and translucent, gripped the pole of the banner with one hand. Whoosh! Dense, slender lightning bolts shot out of Yu Yuan's palm and began to wantonly move about inside the banner. He used his soul remembrance to manipulate the lightning into a carving knife. He ignored the roars and threats of the red blood leeches and adjusted the imprint array. The imprint left behind by a powerful expert of the blood god with his blood and soul was altered beyond recognition in a short period of time. One by one, formations that could naturally counter the red blood leeches and were connected to the fiendish demon cauldron were quickly formed. Then, circles of blood-red halos rippled out from the scarlet banner. The blood-red halos spread out like a net, as if they were tightly binding something. After a little more refinement, he will become obedient. Yu Yuan casually tossed the blood-red banner into the fiendish demon cauldron. Yue, who had long been prepared, smiled coldly. She looked at the red blood leech in the blood-colored halo and struggled continuously, but she was unable to break free. The moment the banner entered the fiendish demon cauldron, under her control, it fell directly to the 9th level. The red blood leech did have the power and qualifications to do so. He only needed to be enslaved again, and he could go up another level. There was already a spot for him on the 10th level. He is so unlucky. The elegant demonic shadow in the wooden tablet pursed her lips and laughed softly. She said to the unhappy Huang Yin, "The red blood leech has been trained by you. It has killed many great demons and sucked so much pure demon blood. Why is it still so weak?" Facing Huang Yin, one of the progenitors of the earth demons, this woman was very calm. It seemed that she was also an extraordinary person in the ancient era of the earth demons. According to Mr. Yuan, his yang spirit body contains the wonders of the chaos koan of galactic beasts. Huang Yin frowned. "Galactic beasts!" the woman exclaimed. When she looked at Yu Yuan again, mysterious lines were forming new demonic characters on the tablet she was hiding in. She was carefully observing Yu Yuan's true body and yang spirit in her own way. Shaman talisman. Corpse transformation. Yuan Qingxi suddenly let out a soft cry. The gray fox beside him seemed to be illuminated by bright light. A strange triangular, white rune instantly became clear inside the gray fox's body. Dark, evil, and filthy cold energy that reached straight to people's hearts and souls poured out of the gray fox's body into the ground beside the lake, and then quickly entered the numerous corpses. Yuan Qingshi nodded at Huang Yin and told the progenitor of the earth demons that he had acted according to their agreement. The purple demonic flames in Huang Yin's eye sockets burned more fiercely as he gave the order with his demonic soul. Bang! White flames appeared under the hooves of the tall and strong horse under the headless horseman's burly body. In the blink of an eye, the horse was enveloped in white flames. Panting heavily, it kicked its hooves and charged towards Yu Yuan like a streak of white lightning. The face of the knight formed by the crimson soul on his neck suddenly became serious. He held a short spear and stabbed it towards Yu Yuan's true body. The smell of rotting corpses fell on Yu Yuan's body out of thin air. Yu Yuan's flesh power was greatly reduced the moment Nye Tian sensed the disgusting, rancid odor in the air. The life essence and fortune power in his blood also seemed to wither slightly. Yu Yuan was slightly surprised. He hadn't expected that the man on the horse could use such a method to make him feel uncomfortable. Whoosh, whoosh. After the wraiths, devils, and spirits left, the hundreds of corpses scattered across the seven-colored lake shot out like arrows, as if they were pulled by invisible hands. Their target was Yu Yuan on the dragon beheading platform. Corpse transformation? The corner of Yu Yuan's mouth twitched, and he smiled carelessly. He knew that Yuan Qingshi's evil spell had given the inanimate beings a specific target to target. Because of the existence of the soul-dissolving array, he had just stripped the spirits from those abominations with the help of the evil demon cauldron. Under such circumstances, the corpses, whether they were human or demon, shouldn't be able to move on their own. However, the ghost shaman sect was the originator of controlling Yin corpses. They had a way to do it. The smell of rotting flesh. Thinking about it, he suddenly realized that when the headless knight was charging at him on his ghost-like warhorse, the pungent smell on his body had helped the soulless Yin corpses below him determine his target. Die. Yu Yuan's yang soul instantly returned to his true body. Holding Zhendo in his true body, he swung his saber in a circle in the air above the dragon beheading platform. The saber light was like a dazzling wave, with him as the center, rippling in all directions. Any soulless corpse touched by the saber light exploded and turned into a grayish-white rain of light. The rain of light filled the air around him with a foul stench. In addition, faint green spots of corpse poison and phosphorescence fell from the rain of light, making his soul extremely uncomfortable. Once his body came into contact with it, some of his rich vitality would be eroded. Looking at the headless knight and the white ghostly warhorse, they didn't actually charge at him. Instead, they flashed over his head from above the dragon beheading platform. They only pointed their short spears at him, filling the air around him with the stench of rotting flesh. It was purely to locate him so that the corpses below would charge to him and explode. I'll deal with him. The new earth demon, who had refined the unconventional thunder snake, cackled. Two strange hands that looked like withered claws grew from his abdomen, and he used them to summon thunder and lightning. Crackle! Bolts of lightning struck the mouth of the evil demon cauldron. Yui hurriedly turned Consort Han into armor to block the lightning. The earth demon, who had refined the thunder snake, twisted in front of Yu Yuan with its nimble body. It passed through the net of saber light that Yu Yuan swung out and magically wrapped around Yu Yuan's neck. After a few rounds, the earth demon, who had refined the thunder snake, cried out strangely, "This kid isn't that powerful. Old ancestor Huang Yin, Mr. Yuan, why are you so afraid of him?" The black lightning snakes tightened around Yu Yuan's neck, making it look like there were black rings around it. Yu Yuan's face also swelled to a greenish-black color due to the earth demon's strength. He seemed to be unable to breathe. However, at this moment, Yu Yuan still managed to say, "You will be the second." Chapter 1465. On the surface of the rainbow cloud miasma sea. Feng Zhong of the Tongtian Trading Company suddenly looked at the dark night sky and saw a shiny silver object hanging in the air like a bright moon, illuminating their swamp. The bright and thick miasma above the swamp couldn't stop the silver light from penetrating. The guest elders of the Medicine God sect, such as Du Yazi, Tong Rui, and Yi He, thought that the Tongtian Trading Company and the Shenhun sect wanted to kill Zhong Chichen, so they looked as if their parents had died. What's the name of the Star Moon sect's artifact? The Meteor Fall Star Eyes? Long Jie snorted, and dangerous flames appeared in the depths of his golden eyes. The Meteor Fall Star Eyes. Feng Zhong exclaimed and hurriedly comforted the lecherous old dragon to prevent him from acting rashly. Whoosh! At this moment, the Meteor Fall Star Eyes passed through the nether fire poison stream formation, the miasma and the clouds, and easily landed in front of the thatched hut. The poison and haze seemed to be unable to infect the falling star's eyes and affect the people on it. Mr. Feng, I received President Li's message, so I came to take a look. Don't worry, we don't mean any harm, and we're not here to kill the sect master of the Medicine God sect. Tan Chun Shan's casual voice came from the Meteor Fall Star Eyes several meters in the air. Lu Ying, whose eyes were filled with curiosity and anticipation, was standing beside him. She was becoming more and more beautiful by the day. After condensing her yang spirit, Lu Ying didn't choose to go to outer space immediately after hearing that Yu Yuan had returned. Instead, she followed Tan Chun Shan to the rainbow cloud miasma sea where Yu Yuan was. Other than her, there were two other people standing on top of the Meteor Fall Star Eyes. The current emperor of the Blue Phoenix Empire, Chun Liangquan, was half human and half radiant race, and Canli, who had traveled thousands of kilometers to deliver the radiant race's sacred artifact to him. Canli, who had a life altar inside her body, was fully deserving of being favored by the heavens. She chatted and laughed with Lu Ying along the way, and their relationship was quite harmonious. At this time, the two women were still whispering. Tan Chun Shan, Chun Liangquan, and as the leader of the Wind Whisperers, Feng Zhong was shocked when he saw these people coming with the Meteor Fall Star Eyes. He hurriedly came out of the hut. Is it President Li's message? He knew Tan Junshan's realm and strength. He also knew that Chun Liangquan was not someone to be trifled with. He also knew Canli, who had the life altar in her body, and her status in the light race. He didn't dare to be negligent. Other than Long Jie, Du Yazi and the others also walked out and bowed respectfully. Tan Junshan explained casually before adding with a smile, the reason we're here is because we want to see what's going on underground and make sure that Yu Yuan is fine. You can see. Long Jie was surprised. Even with his power and bloodline, he couldn't see through the ground and see the center of the filth. He heard of Tan Chun Shan and knew that he was extraordinary, but he didn't think that Tan Chun Shan could see through the ground with his current realm. This and her. Tan Chun Shan pointed at the Meteor Fall Star Eyes, and then pointed at the light race's holy daughter Canli. Combine the two, and you can see down there. Long Jie didn't believe him. Canli pursed her lips and smiled faintly. In front of everyone, her two white hands landed on the silver-white jade platform in front of Lu Ying. Her small hand suddenly glowed brightly. A pure and holy light that could illuminate all life was released from the life altar inside her body. It lit up the jade platform in front of Lu Ying and the entire Meteor Star Eyes dozens of times brighter. The moon seemed to have turned into dozens of moons. Yu Yuan's figure gradually appeared on the jade platform. On the surface of the seven-colored lake, Yu Yuan, who was standing on the dragon beheading platform, had just put the blood-red banner into the baleful demon cauldron when a pitch-black lightning snake coiled around his neck. The scene of the headless rider riding on a ghostly warhorse charging at Yu Yuan was seen by everyone. With the combined efforts of Canli and Lu Ying, the images on the stage constantly changed. They also saw Huang Yin, Qing Ye's demonic figure in the wooden tombstone, the evil curse inside Grey Fox's body, and Yuan Qingxi's chanting. The scenes kept changing so that everyone could see more clearly. However, when one of the images suddenly showed the white bone of the ghost god, the white bone suddenly sensed something. It frowned and waved its empty hand casually. In that instant, a thin line of blood appeared between Can Li and Lu Ying's eyebrows. The two of them looked as if they had suffered a heavy blow. Because of this, the images on the jade platform only focused on Yu Yuan. Only the specters and devil spirits attacking Yu Yuan could be seen when they were closer. Can Li was shocked. "Who is that?" Feng Zhong took a deep breath and said, "He's the paragon of the Land of Terror, a newly born ghost god in Howran." Feng Zhong took a deep breath. "He has already shown mercy. Don't try to spy on him in secret. That is a great disrespect. He's the paragon of Howran. No matter who it is, they can't watch him without greeting him." Can Li's mouth was full of bitterness. "Got it." After that, they could only see a small space around Yu Yuan through their meteor eyes. They watched as Yu Yuan reached out and grabbed a section of the pitch-black lightning snake's body under the lightning bolts shooting from his neck. Unfortunately, they couldn't hear Yu Yuan's voice. They didn't know what Yu Yuan was shouting about. Deep underground, Yu Yuan's hand grabbed a section of the snake's body. He felt dozens of cold lightning bolts enter his sea of consciousness, as if they were going to extinguish his soul in an instant. The Earth Devil, who had refined this mutant lightning snake, could actually use its bloodline talents to attack souls. "Was it you who gave him the guts to wrap the lightning snake around my neck?" The moment he grabbed the snake's body, Yu Yuan couldn't help but look at Huang Yin. "Shouldn't the new Earth Devil be more cautious than you?" Huang Yin's expression was grim, but he didn't say anything. Fizz. The dozens of cold lightning bolts entered Yu Yuan's sea of consciousness and shone for a moment before turning to dust. The hissing mutant lightning snake realized that something was wrong and started to struggle. Then, Yu Yuan grabbed the snake's body and pulled it out from her neck. "Earth Devil!" With a cold snort, Yu Yuan's arm bones suddenly gave birth to sword intent. Beams of crimson sword light that carried the auras of soul extinguishing, and shocking demon turned into many tiny swords of light when they entered the snake's body. Whether it was the mutant lightning snake's bloodline or the Earth Devil hiding in the snake's head, many holes were instantly pierced. As he did so, the pale green corpse poison phosphorescence continued to sprinkle on his body, corroding and melting away his vitality, causing his body to become tired and powerless. However, it didn't hurt his foundation. Whoosh! A ball of purple fire flew out of the snake's head. The new Earth Devil saw that the situation was bad and abandoned the lightning snake's body, crying for help from Huang Yin. At this time, the fiendish demon Cauldron, which had been waiting for him to leave the lightning snake's body for a long time, chased after him under Yui's control. With a bang, multicolored light shone from the dragon beheading platform. All of the corpse poison flames instantly disappeared, as if they had been purified. Yu Yuan left the dragon beheading platform, not caring whether Yui could gather the new Earth Devil or not, and fell into the seven-colored lake. "I'd like to see what the hell is with the spatial energy rippling at the bottom of the lake." Huang Yin's other Abyss Devil soul gathered the power of the seven-colored lake and formed a fire dragon, but it couldn't stop him. As soon as the fire dragon jumped out of the lake, Yu Yuan fell into the lake with a splash. Huang Yin, the demonic shadow in the wooden tablet, Grey Fox, and Yuan Qingxi were all stunned. It seemed that no one had expected Yu Yuan to abandon the dragon beheading platform and enter the lake with his true body. Chapter 1466. The moment Yu Yuan fell into the seven-colored lake, the earth demons and outsiders of the Ghost Witch sect were all stunned. The new earth demon that had escaped from the lightning snake's body was caught by Yu's fiendish demon cauldron and dragged to the bottom of the cauldron. Huang Yin saw the new earth demon fall into the trap, and he was only a little surprised. However, as the progenitor of the earth demons, he didn't choose to save him at this time. The ancient earth demon in the wooden tablet glanced at the fiendish demon cauldron and didn't do anything. Like Huang Yin, she also felt that the new earth demon didn't know his place. Being dragged into the fiendish demon cauldron was purely a lesson. She and Huang Yin both believed that the fiendish demon cauldron and Yue would eventually fall into Huang Yin's hands, and that the cauldron would eventually change owners. Once it changed owners, the new earth demon would still have to worship Huang Yin as his master even if he was refined into a fiendish demon. Since this was the result, it was only a matter of time. She couldn't be bothered to do anything. Moreover, the new earth demon's arrogance and attitude towards her and Huang Yin all these years disgusted her. This, the ghost witch sex progenitor, Yuan Qingxi, had to stop the evil curse he had prepared because of Yu Yuan's unexpected actions. Yuan Qingxi was also puzzled. He didn't know why Yu Yuan dared to enter the seven-colored lake with his true body. The ghost god White Bones stood expressionlessly by the lakeside like a statue. Yu Yuan's abnormal actions, Huang Yin's surprise, and Yuan Qingxi's performance didn't seem to interest him. He seemed to be lost in thought, thinking about something related to himself. On the ground, thanks to the life altar in Ken Li's body, her meteor eyes were like real eyes that saw Yu Yuan's dangerous actions in the tainted world below. The group of people on the ground looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Because the new earth demon was brought into the fiendish demon cauldron, because Yue controlled the fiendish demon cauldron and stopped on the dragon beheading platform, and because Yu Yuan was nowhere to be seen, everyone stopped fighting. Inside the muddy seven-colored lake, the crimson curtain of light enveloped Yu Yuan's true body, emitting a hazy and mysterious light. Since he wasn't eroded by the lake water, he could see that there were many colorful coral-like skeletons at the bottom of the lake. The bones were sparkling and resplendent, and they flickered with an enchanting glow. With a single glance, he could tell that the skeletons at the bottom of the lake belonged to a 9th or even 10th grade demon, as well as a dragon of the same grade. Level 10 demons were demon gods. Level 10 dragons were known as dragon gods. The skeletons of the Great Fae and the dragon were not connected by any flesh. Only the glowing bones were left, and they were not complete. It gave Yu Yuan the impression that the demon god and the dragon god had died somewhere else, and parts of their bodies had been taken by the earth demon and the ghost witch sex experts and thrown into the seven-colored lake. Even the broken limbs of the dead demon gods and dragon gods contained pure and boundless energy. After hundreds of thousands of years, the power of flesh and blood had been melted by the lake water, which had an astonishing corrosive power. As a result, the water of the colorful lake was filled with even richer power. Only the bones, which were too hard, hadn't been eroded by the lake water over time. Fizz! Fizz! The crimson curtain of light within him was eroded by the water of the colorful lake and rapidly lost its power. However, he knew that he could hold on for a long time. With a thought, he discovered that his psychic connection with the dragon beheading platform hadn't been severed. This meant that if he encountered any danger at the bottom of the lake, he could still teleport back to the dragon beheading platform in an instant. As long as the dragon beheading platform was on the surface of the lake, he would have another layer of protection. Spatial fluctuations. He sensed with his heart as he slowly flew across the lake, and discovered that Huang Yin, the progenitor of the earth demons, wasn't in a hurry to enter the lake and fight him. Since Huang Yin had been born in the colorful lake, shouldn't his battle prowess skyrocket once he entered the lake? Why did he give up such a good opportunity? When this thought appeared in his mind, Yu Yuan's eyes suddenly lit up. He saw a figure with a body that was glowing with seven-colored light inside a huge skull. It was him. Yu Yuan immediately approached him at full speed. As he approached, he first observed the huge skull, and then discovered that it didn't belong to any of the Howren dragons or greater demons he was familiar with. Instead, it was the skull of a giant winged lizard. The skull covered an area of several hundred square meters and was shining with sparkling and translucent light, as if it had been cut off by a sharp blade and thrown to the bottom of the colorful lake. Compared to this head, the person sitting inside the skull, whose entire body was emitting seven-colored light, seemed very small. However, as he got closer and closer, Yu Yuan's expression gradually grew serious. All of his attention was focused on the glowing man, and he couldn't take his eyes off him. That person was alive, not an inanimate object. Moreover, that man wasn't a Howren human, not a greater demon in human form, and not even a mixed blood. The sun spirit in his body, fused memories, and senses told him that it was a pure-blooded void spirit. That man's body was filled with seven-colored light, and spatial ability flowed within it. On the surface of the lake, the so-called spatial ripples that he had sensed with the dragon beheading platform were just that man's heartbeat. Every time that man's heart beat, it would cause turbulent spatial ripples. Because that man was at the bottom of the colorful lake, the rest of the people by the lake couldn't sense it. Whoosh! Yu Yuan entered through the skull's huge eye sockets and felt that the light suddenly became much dimmer. As for the void spirit that was sitting quietly and emitting seven-colored light, it was even more eye-catching. He seemed to have known that Yu Yuan would come, and wasn't surprised at all. The extraordinarily handsome guest from outer space had a faint smile on his lips, and he even nodded at Yu Yuan. One of his eyes was seven-colored, and the other was dark purple. This point was very strange and unconventional, because none of the void spirits that Yu Yuan knew or had seen had eyes of these two colors. Perhaps it was because this man stayed in the colorful lake all year round, and because his body was filled with the refined water of the colorful lake, it became like that. But dark purple. My name is Luowei of the void spirit race. The man took the initiative to introduce himself politely. Luowei. Yu Yuan shuddered violently as a crimson light burst out from his body, causing the water in the lake to splash noisily. The man nodded with a smile. You've heard of me? I've heard a lot about you. Yu Yuan took a deep breath and calmed himself down, but the strange look in his eyes didn't decrease at all. Luowei, the sixth strongest expert among the thousands of alien races in the vast sea of stars. The void spirit race's patriarch had been missing for many years, and his whereabouts were still unknown. Legend had it that Luowei had lost his way while exploring the abyss. Because he couldn't find a way to return, he was trapped in an unknown secret place in the abyss. Who would have thought that the clan leader of the void spirits would actually be in the underground of vast sea, in this murky lake? If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, Yu Yuan probably wouldn't have believed it if he told them. How did you get here? Yu Yuan asked softly. Howren's realm barrier was the most heavily guarded in the entire universe. The entrances to the frigid abyss were all guarded by nascent divinities. This made it extremely difficult for experts from the outer realms to avoid the defenses of Howren and enter without being detected. Anyone who came in would definitely be found. They would either die or be captured. Tian Tsang and the Chaos Kuan couldn't escape this fate. You know that I'm proficient in the power of space and have a rank 10 bloodline. Howren, on the other hand, isn't proficient in the power of space, and hasn't reached the nascent divinity or demon god level, Luowei explained with a smile. People like me are truly different. In the vast outer realms, I'm the only one who can secretly enter Howren. His words were domineering and full of confidence. Yu Yuan pondered for a moment and seemed to understand something. He nodded and said seriously, I've met Kelly Fisher and interacted with the creator of your race. Mr. Yuan told me about him. Luowei nodded slightly and looked deeply at Yu Yuan. Then, he suddenly said in a somewhat strange tone, "All right, I've greeted him. It's your turn." The light in his seven-colored eye gradually dimmed. His other eye was a deep purple that burned like purple devilish flames, just like Huang Yin's. At this moment, Yu Yuan realized that the other Earth Devil progenitor of the same generation as Huang Yin was residing in Luo Wei's body. A peak outsider and an Earth Devil progenitor. The two souls shared the body of the patriarch of the Void Spirit. Chapter 1467. Flames burned in Luo Wei's purple eyes. Vaguely, one could even see a small and beautiful shadow. Luo Wei's aura and consciousness started to fade away. The ancient ancestor of the Earth Demon race, who was at the same level as Huang Yin, replaced him and took over the ownership of this body. The seven-colored muddy energy flowed in Luo Wei's body and merged with the intent of space, he comprehended, filling him with wonder. Luo Wei, the Earth Demon progenitor Yu Yuan's expression was heavy. It was also at this moment that he realized why Yuan Qingxi, Huang Yin, and the other races dared to act so fearlessly. Other than White Bone, Yu of the Ghost Witch sect, who might be awakened by them after entering the underground world, it was also because of Luo Wei. Luo Wei was their other trump card. As the patriarch of the Void Spirit race and a peak rank 10 bloodline warrior, Luo Wei understood the secrets of space and had the power to break through the spatial barrier and escape from Howren at any time. Luo Wei's domineering words seemed to be telling Yu Yuan that he could easily leave Howren. Yu Yuan also believed that even if Luo Wei's hiding in the underground world of Howren was exposed, he could still leave before the supreme existence of Howren could react. In the universe, only Luo Wei, who had a rank 10 bloodline and was well versed in the power of space, had such power. It was because of this that Luo Wei appeared so calm and indifferent. Yu Yuan felt that the other Earth Demon progenitor's relationship with Luo Wei should be symbiotic. It was similar to the Silver Moon Queen and Consort Yu, who complemented each other. The Earth Demon progenitor in Luo Wei's body was the same as Huang Yin. She was only a demon god and had yet to break through to the supreme realm. But she was stronger than Huang Yin because she was Luo Wei's host. She could borrow Luo Wei's power and use Luo Wei's body to unleash power that surpassed a demon god. She could even ask Luo Wei to act. "My name is Shadow." The Earth Demon progenitor, who had fused with Luo Wei's body, spoke in a soft and weak voice. The flames in the depths of Luo Wei's purple eyes retracted, like a budding flower. Within the flower, Zhu Ying's demonic soul appeared. She looked like a gentle and beautiful woman, reserved and reserved. Dark Shadow, Yu Yuan raised his eyebrows slightly. Just like Yu, when Shi Yan heard this name, he had a familiar feeling. He knew that the memory of the host's soul had something to do with the devil ancestor of this place. Another familiar face. "Huang Yin is biased against you because of the baleful demon cauldron. I didn't, but I'm very grateful for everything you've done for Old Demon and the Ghost Witch sect." Bu Ying, who was using Luo Wei's body, slowly got up and bowed to Yu Yuan in thanks using some ancient etiquette. "If it wasn't for you, you wouldn't have become a ghost god. If it weren't for you, Huang Yin and I would never have had the chance to regain our great demon god's strength." Yu Yuan chuckled and didn't say anything. He thought to himself, "If you knew that I was the one who dragged your Earth Demon clan and Ghost Witch sect down from their high and mighty places, and caused you to be trapped in the filthy underground world forever, how would you feel? Since you've done so much for us, why don't you do it to the end? If the dragon beheading platform, which you've merged into one, can shatter here, the humiliation we've suffered for tens of thousands of years will be washed away. From now on, there will be nothing that can hang above our heads and restrict our prosperity." The voice of the other Earth Demon ancestor, Zhu Ying, grew louder and louder, filled with excitement. Yu Yuan suddenly looked up. Spatial ripples appeared on the surface of the seven-colored lake. He seemed to be separated from the surface of the lake by a vast galaxy. He could no longer sense the aura of the dragon beheading platform, the baleful demon cauldron, and Yue. As soon as Zhu Ying finished speaking, she seemed to have secretly completed some kind of ritual to seal the seven-colored lake, causing the connection between Yu Yuan and the surface of the lake to instantly break. Master! Above the dragon beheading platform, Yue, the cauldron's soul, sensed that something was wrong. Huang Yin waved his hand with a smile, indicating for the others not to do anything unnecessary. He walked towards Yue step by step. As he walked, he smiled and said, "I have waited for this moment for too long. Back then, you were the one who enslaved me and forced me to fight for you. I am the progenitor of the Earth demon race. And you are only his servant. How dare you enslave me, Huang Yin? Lowly servant." Huang Yin suddenly turned hostile and appeared at the mouth of the cauldron with a whoosh. Boom! Thick pillars of seven-colored light poured out of his body and poured down from the mouth of the cauldron like a waterfall of stars. Huang Yin stopped the elegant earth demon in the wooden tablet from attacking and signaled for Yuan Qingxi to stay out of it with his eyes. Then, he entered the cauldron with the pillars of seven-colored light. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh! His strange body sputtered with multicolored light as he fought against Yue, who was wearing an icy armor, in the small world he was once so familiar with inside the cauldron. The many fiendish devils, and souls that were in the process of being transformed were all stunned by his appearance. Yue's influence and control over the fiendish devils were greatly reduced because of his arrival. Without the help of the fiendish devil sect master and without the support of the current Yu Yuan, you think you're worthy of flaunting your strength in front of me? Huang Yin laughed strangely. The headless horseman held his short spear high above the lake. The face formed by the crimson soul showed a sad expression. He seemed to sense that Yue was destined to lose if she fought against Huang Yin alone without the support of the cauldron's master. If they lost, it would mean that Yue and Huang Yin's identities would be reversed. Huang Yin was the master, and Yue was the slave. The cauldron would fall into Huang Yin's hands and become his weapon of choice. That's all there is to it. The gray fox that was also possessed by the earth demon saw that the situation was settled and left Yuan Qingxi's side. It flew to the wooden tablet. Yu Yuan has entered the lake. He shouldn't be able to escape, right? Inside the tablet, the elegant demonic shadow smiled and nodded. Of course. After all, Jian Ying is our trump card. Jian Ying, Baigu, who hadn't spoken for a long time, muttered to himself after hearing this name, as if he was recalling something. Yuan Qingxi and the demonic shadow inside the wooden tablet looked at him in unison. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. They wanted him to remember more. Once he did, he would become Yu, the legendary leader of the Ghost Witch sect, even without him opening the scroll. The reason why Huang Yin and Yuan Qingxi had done so much and constantly evoked his memories was to achieve this goal. With Jian Ying and Yu, the Ghost Witch sect and the Earth Demon race would be able to occupy a place in the Howran Great Realm. Meanwhile, on the surface, Tan Chun Shan and Chen Liangquan looked for Yu Yuan with their meteor eyes for a long time, but didn't see him emerge from the seven-colored lake. Their expressions gradually grew serious. A short while later, Tan Junshan suddenly said, "That kid Yu Yuan has always been bold and radical in his actions. I suspect that he's hit a wall this time." "What do you mean, Mr. Tan?" Chen Liangquan asked softly. "Let's go down and see what's going on," Tan Chun Shan suggested. Chen Liangquan smiled. "I've been meaning to." The two of them echoed each other, shocking everyone in front of the thatched hut. "You're going down?" Du Yazi shouted. "That's the headquarters of the Ghost Witch sect and the Earth Demon race." However, neither Tan Chun Shan nor Chen Liangquan paid him any attention. They didn't even look at him. Du Yazi, who had cultivated a young soul, was a guest elder of the Medicine God sect. He was highly regarded in other places. However, in the eyes of those two, Du Yazi was just a small character not worth mentioning. Senior Long, what about you? Are you interested in exploring the underground? Tan Chun Shan's gaze passed through the door and looked at Long Jie, who was in the thatched hut. I think it'll be safer if you go with me. Of course, whether it's me or anyone else, we don't have the right to order you. I'm just suggesting. In the end, it's up to you whether you're interested or not. Chen Liangquan also looked over expectantly. The only person these two cared about was the lewd old dragon. They should also be aware of the old dragon's strength. Due to Yu Yuan's return, the old dragon was already at the peak below the nascent soul and demon god realm. Seeing that you're so sincere in your invitation, I'll accompany you all on this trip. Long Jie grinned. Golden lines flowed out of the fingertips of his hand that was holding the lid of the furnace. The golden lines wrapped around the pill furnace, causing it to shrink more than 10 times in an instant, turning into an exquisite little furnace. He held the small furnace with one hand and walked out of the thatched hut. He nodded at Tan Chun Shan. Let's go. I'll arrange it, Tan Chun Shan said cheerfully. Chapter 1468. At the bottom of Seven Color Lake, the Earth Devil progenitor, who called himself Zhuing, used Luo Wei's body to bow and seal the entire lake. The sole connection between Yu Yuan, the dragon beheading platform, the fiendish demon cauldron, and Yu Yi was severed. After Luo Wei's seven-colored eye dimmed to the extreme, it suddenly turned into a deep purple color. His handsome body seemed to be changing and adjusting accordingly. He became gentler, more agile, and more suitable for Zhuing to fight. When Yu Yuan could no longer see the seven-colored light in the depths of his eyes, he knew that the current High Chieftain of the Void Spirits had withdrawn all of his soul power. Luo Wei was relieved to completely hand over his body to Shadow. Therefore, the Luo Wei in front of him was no longer Luo Wei, but Earth Devil Zhuing. One of the ancient Earth Devil progenitors completely replaced Luo Wei and did his own things with Luo Wei's body. Moreover, he could use Luo Wei's bloodline ability. Luo Wei, with his peak rank 10 bloodline, was well versed in the laws of space. Even if Zhuing could only use a part of his power, he would still be very difficult to deal with. Forbidden Void. Jian Ying chuckled softly and activated a bloodline secret magic that was commonly used by the phantoms. In the small space at the bottom of the lake where Yu Yuan was, the water in the lake seemed to have turned into solid lead water in an instant. Not to mention moving quickly, he couldn't even move his finger. The crimson-red light shield that came out of his body also exploded because of Zhu Ying's word. Bloody light and essence scattered and were quickly corroded by the seven-color lake water. He couldn't withdraw it even if he wanted to. In the next instant, Zhu Ying teleported in front of Yu Yuan. Her slender left hand was as cold as a snow-white ice blade, and she stabbed at Yu Yuan's heart. Seeing her arrive in an instant with spatial teleportation, Yu Yuan grimaced. In the past, he used the spatial teleportation art of the dragon beheading platform to deal with other people. He didn't expect poof. Before he could think, his chest was pierced. This body, which had been tempered for a long time and was as hard as a rock and divine iron, actually seemed so fragile under the attack of the rapier's shadow. Unable to move, he felt a piercing pain in his heart, but his soul was not affected. Whoosh! His strange yang spirit, which had been hidden in the small world of qi and blood, suddenly turned into hundreds of streaks of crimson light that shot out like slender blood snakes. The crimson blood light reached his heart in an instant, tearing at the same number of snow-white light blades. Jian Ying exclaimed softly, and a strange color appeared in the depths of his deep purple pupils. She stared at the snow-white hand that had pierced into Yu Yuan's chest, and felt the hundreds of snow-white blades of light that were about to pierce into the flesh in front of Yu Yuan's heart were intercepted by a sudden flash of crimson light. Every second, the laws of space that belonged to Luo Wei were clashing with the new bloodline crystal chains. The blades of light that flew out of the snow-white hand were branded with the sharpness of space, the power that could tear apart and break all seals. There were also numerous streaks of multicolored spatial light that belonged to the void spirits, which seemed to have turned into thousands of colorful butterflies that desperately tried to drill into Yu Yuan's heart. However, the crimson blood light that had suddenly appeared turned into interweaving bloodline crystal chains that looked like rivers of sparkling light. Within the rivers of sparkling light, there were the laws of metal of the Azura race, the unique soul spells of the demonesses, and the bloodline secrets of the star spirits that turned into stars that floated in the sky. There were the blood particles of the blood devils that could devour the blood essence of all living beings, and the wood power of the dark spirits that turned into a green rain of light. The hundreds of crimson blood lights suddenly changed into thousands of shapes, as if they contained the wonders of blood from all intelligent races. The laws of space that Luo Wei had comprehended seemed to be blocked by the bloodline crystal chains of all living beings in outer space. It was as if many outsiders had joined hands to stop him. This was also why the numerous blades of spatial light couldn't break through his defense and pierce into Yu Yuan's heart at the first moment. "I've been listening and watching for a long time down there, and I know that this body of yours is special. Originally, I wanted to find a way to break your shell, but who would have thought that your body would be so unique?" Guiying said softly with a smile. Her other hand turned deep purple, with numerous purple lightning bolts jumping around it. This hand didn't carry the slightest power of space. Instead, it was branded with the wonders of soul that Guiying had comprehended over the past tens of thousands of years. As the progenitor of the Earth Devils, she should have possessed this divine ability and might. This purple devil hand pierced towards the spot between Yu Yuan's eyebrows in an unhurried manner. It was as if they were going to penetrate Yu Yuan's sea of awareness and crush his three souls in the blink of an eye. "Since I can't destroy your body or shatter your heart in an instant, I'll use a different method to kill your soul first." Guiying snorted. "Zzzt. When Guiying's purple devil hand pierced towards Guiying like a purple spear, countless evil thoughts and corrupted souls in the seven-color lake madly gathered towards it. It turned out that she was slow because she wanted to give that hand more terrifying abilities. Yu Yuan's eyes widened as he watched the purple devil hand absorb the power of the seven-color lake and become more and more terrifying, but it couldn't break free of the spatial seal. At this time, he felt a trace of regret. He regretted not bringing the dragon-slaying platform to the bottom of the lake, regretted that he had taken it for granted. He knew that Guiying had used Luo Wei's rank 10 spatial bloodline to cast the so-called spatial seal. However, the void restriction that Rapture Shadow had cast was not Luo Wei himself. If he had the dragon-slaying platform, he could have used the power left behind by the space dragon to break the spatial seal. As long as he wasn't sealed and could only move his limbs, he would have more methods at his disposal. He wouldn't be like now, where he could only watch as the hand gathered power bit by bit and stabbed towards the spot between his eyebrows without being able to interrupt it. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh! Qin Lai's Yin spirit started to gather soul power in his small world of consciousness to defend himself. Layers upon layers of soul defenses were formed almost as soon as he activated his divine will. The Yin spirit was at the front, the main soul was at the back, and the Yang spirit was at the center. He was fully focused, waiting for the progenitor of the earth demons to use her evil soul arts to cause trouble in his sea of consciousness. Sword rise! At the same time, streaks of crimson sword light were activated in his arm bones that could not move. The crimson sword energy became clear under his skin. It moved from his arm to his neck, then along his neck to his face, and finally to the spot between his eyebrows. Essence of Yin's sunflower. With a thought, the pure Yin energy particles that had been hidden in the opened acupoints floated out one after another like tiny, glittering stars. At a glance, it looked as if many silver stars were spontaneously gathering towards the spot between his eyebrows. "What the hell are you?" As the progenitor of the earth demons, Meng Ying couldn't remain calm when she saw that Qin Lai's body couldn't move, but he was using his soul to gather the power hidden in his acupoints and bones. Meng Ying's hand, which was stabbing towards Yu Yuan's forehead, became slower and slower as it approached. Her hand seemed to be carrying too much power, which made it extremely heavy. However, she could see beams of crimson sword energy coming out of Yu Yuan's arms and flying under his skin to reach the spot between his eyebrows. Meng Ying sensed danger from the crimson sword energy, and knew that the sword energy was a threat to her hand. Then came the essence of Yin Sunflower, which represented the source of the Yin meridians. Yin Sunflower's essence had a strong purifying effect on the filth in the underground. It had a strong suppressive effect on her and the other ancient earth demons like Huang Yin. It was because of this that she and Huang Yin, who hadn't broken through to the great demon god realm, were very careful when dealing with Yu Yu. The miniature nether river that flowed inside Yu Yu's body contained Yin Sunflower's essence, which was extremely deadly to them. Yu Yu had received the acknowledgement of the source of the Yin meridians, and he was an ascended god. It was normal for him to have Yin Sunflower's essence. But how could Yu Yuan refine so much Yin Sunflower's essence? Meng Ying couldn't figure it out. Meng Ying's hand, which was about to stab Yu Yuan's forehead, clearly hesitated when she saw the crimson sword energy and the Yin Sunflower's essence. She suddenly didn't have full confidence. She no longer felt that her hand would be 100% sure of victory once it entered Yu Yuan's forehead. "You seem to be hesitating." Yu Yuan, who couldn't speak, sent out a mocking soul message from her deep, unfathomable eyes. Meng Ying could obviously sense and capture his soul fluctuations. When she looked at his face again, she found that he was very calm, as if he wasn't afraid of the devil hand that was about to pierce his forehead. Chapter 1469. Jian Ying, Void Spirit Luo Wei. Beside the seven-colored lake, flames of the same color burned in the strange, grayish-white eyes of the skeleton that held the painting scroll in its hand. He lowered his head and quietly looked at the colorful surface of the lake, muttering thoughtfully. Clearly, he could see and hear the battle at the bottom of the lake and the conversation between Yu Yuan and Jian Ying. His whisper made Yuan Qingxi, an earth demon in the wooden tablet, feel a trace of uneasiness. Yuan Qingxi was very worried. He was worried about his master. With a casual wave of his hand, the spatial seal that Jian Ying had painstakingly created lost its effect. As a result, Yu Yuan and the dragon beheading platform could seamlessly connect with the fiendish demon cauldron. Yuan Qingxi knew that the master he served had such an ability. He also knew that if Bai Gu really did so, the pressure on Jian Ying under the lake would suddenly increase. Without the dragon beheading platform, Yu Yuan wouldn't be able to use his full strength. He would be restrained by Jian Ying at the bottom of the seven-colored lake. However, if the dragon beheading platform fell into the lake, its natural suppression on earth demons would affect Jian Ying's ability to cast spells. Other than Bai Gu, who had become a ghost god, all demons, ghosts, and ghosts would feel uncomfortable when Yu Yuan activated the dragon beheading platform's laws. Huang Yin and Jian Ying hadn't become great demon gods yet, so they would also be restrained. Jian Ying was at the bottom of the lake. With Luo Wei's spatial power, he cut off the soul connection between Yu Yuan and the dragon beheading platform. Yuan Qingxi was overjoyed, feeling that victory was in his hands. He was afraid that the White Bone Gang would do the same thing as before and help Yu Yuan. Mr. Yuan, Qingya, who was in the wooden tablet, couldn't help but feel nervous after hearing Bai Gu's whispers. She was clearly nervous. Yuan Qingxi shook his head with a bitter expression, indicating that he couldn't predict Bai Gu's next move. At this moment, Bai Gu, who had been looking at the seven-colored lake, suddenly looked up. He frowned slightly and said, "Someone's coming down." Coming down? Earth Demon, who was in the gray fox, followed by Gu's gaze and looked up. After finding nothing, he shouted, "I'll go take a look." Whoosh! Gray Fox's figure rose higher and higher, gradually passing through the colorful clouds and miasma and entering the sky of this world. "Bitch! I've already told you, you will eventually fall into my hands." Huang Yin's gloomy voice came from the fiendish demon cauldron. The black cauldron was gradually filled with 7-colored light. It was as if Huang Yin's power was spreading. The new law patterns that Huang Yin had comprehended replaced the original demon patterns on the fiend demon cauldron. He wanted to change this demon artifact from its foundation and turn it into a holy artifact of the earth demon race. After Yui's armor cracked open, pieces of ice splashed towards the mouth of the cauldron. 1 meter above the cauldron, the ice shards were condensing back into Consort Han's form. This meant that Yui, as the cauldron's soul, had been shattered by Huang Yin inside the cauldron by Consort Han. Huang Yin had an obvious advantage. The bottom of the lake. The purple hand of the other earth demon progenitor, Jian Ying, that was about to stab Yu Yuan's forehead suddenly trembled slightly. Jian Ying's eyes were serious, and a sense of unease rose in her heart. She clearly had enough devil energy and evil thoughts, and she could stab. But she didn't do so. What? As an earth demon race progenitor who is as famous as Huang Yin, you also know fear? The motionless Yu Yuan's soul voice came from his eyes. The Yin soul hidden between his eyebrows quickly swelled as he tried to cast the great Yin soul art. For some reason, he suddenly had an inexplicable confidence. He believed that if Jian Ying's purple hand dared to touch his forehead, it would suffer serious damage. Just as Jian Ying was about to retreat, he attacked. The moment the great Yin soul art was cast, it gave off a wondrous aura. It caused the souls of the heavenly devils and ghosts to rush in recklessly like moths to a flame, as if they had smelled a delicious meal. Even if Jian Ying was the progenitor of the earth demons, she should be affected by this secret art no matter how many devils and filthy evil energy were mixed into her hand. Great Yin soul art. Jian Ying's expression changed slightly. She, who was familiar with the many soul arts of the Shenhun sect, knew what had happened the moment she smelled the terrifying aura. Then, she could no longer control her hand and stabbed at Yu Yuan's forehead. In an instant, dozens of crimson sword lights appeared in the depths of her sea of consciousness. The sword lights carried the sword intents of soul severing, shocking devil, and spirit extinguishing. They turned into sharp swords in the depths of her sea of consciousness and destroyed her devil soul. At the same time, the purple hand that touched Yu Yuan's forehead was corroded by the Yin sunflower essence. The extremely pure Yin sunflower essence was the bane of the filthy devil hand. It caused the filthy aura and purple evil thoughts above it to quickly melt away. Thick devilish smoke rose from her hand as it rapidly became slender. Pop, pop. Her other hand, which was wrapped in the mysteries of space, suddenly pulled out. Taking advantage of Yu Yuan's concentration on his forehead, she stabbed at his waist, abdomen, and the other side of his chest a few times. In the blink of an eye, several holes appeared in Yu Yuan's chest. Yu Yuan let out a muffled groan as he felt a stabbing pain in his heart. The gray fox that had flown into the sky to investigate was smashed to pieces by the golden dragon claw he had manifested. Clusters of devil souls flew out of the gray fox's body, which he had torn to shreds, and rushed downwards in fear. Even the few evil spells that Yuan Qingshi hadn't been able to activate in time were torn to shreds by the gray fox's claws. Long Jie, who had a golden dragon horn on his head and a tall and muscular body, swaggered down with Zhong Chichen's cauldron in his hand. Yangzhou, where old traitor lives, was sealed yesterday afternoon. There are more than 10 new cases every day. I'm so nervous. All the shopping malls and entertainment centers are closed. Delivery is limited today. After uploading this chapter, I'll go queue up for the second round of nucleic acids. I hope that Yangzhou City can be unsealed as soon as possible, just like the title of this chapter. The medical staff is working hard. Many people are doing tests overnight. Sigh. Chapter 1470. As Long Jie descended, he took a deep breath of the polluted air from the underground. He frowned slightly as he sensed the corrosive and destructive effects of the tainted energy in his body. Thus, he understood that in the filthy underground world, his powerful dragon body would also be weakened by a portion of his battle prowess. Even if he did nothing, the polluted air would slowly seep into his body. Of course, he could use the power of his bloodline to get rid of the corrosive poison that was harmful to his body and mind. However, doing so would consume his blood power continuously in this polluted world. He needed to use his blood power to resist the poison and pollution, but he couldn't replenish it or benefit from it. Not only were Earth Demon and the evil cultivators of the Ghost Witch sect unaffected, but they could also absorb power from it and grow stronger. After all, the origin of the Ghost Witch sect was in the rosy cloud miasma sea. Tens of thousands of years ago, they had adapted to this place and found a way to refine the pollution and condense power from it. Earth Demon was born here, so there was no need to talk about him. Because of this, people like Yuan Qingshi and Huang Yin on the surface were no match for him. But because he was in the enemy's nest, people like them might be able to threaten him. As he thought this, Long Jie's gaze fell on the seven-colored lake, which he had noticed before he came down. He secretly sensed it, and his mood became slightly serious. The corrosive power of the seven-colored lake was 100 times denser than the air. Even he wouldn't feel good if he fell into the lake. At this time, Yu Yuan hadn't come out of the colorful lake for a long time. How lively! Tan Junshan, who looked like a bright moon, stretched lazily as he watched the horde of evil beings swarming towards him. Suddenly, he looked coldly at the fiend demon cauldron and said, "Can you please stop?" He was talking to Huang Yin. As soon as he said this, thousands of moonblades flew towards the cauldron like silver birds. Inside the cauldron, Yui's body was covered in fragments, and Huang Yin's soul was gradually becoming blurry. He had no choice but to let out a strange howl and use his refined seven-colored light to meet the moonblades that fell from the sky. Inside the enlarged cauldron, it was as if an incomparably dazzling display of fireworks had erupted. It was all multicolored light and shattered light from the moonblade. Tan Chunshan, who was at the peak of the Freedom Realm and had the potential to reach the Paramount Realm in the future, was definitely not someone Yue could compare to. Once he attacked, Huang Yin, the Earth Devil progenitor, would have to go all out. "I am Chen Liangquan, the current emperor of the Azure Phoenix Empire." The mixed blood, who appeared calm and collected, suddenly stopped beside the white bones by the lake. This mysterious monarch of the strongest empire in the Qian continent, dressed in casual clothes, suddenly bowed towards the white bones of the ghost god. A strange expression appeared on Chen Liangquan's face as he said with a smile, "This skeleton of yours, White Bones, who had been silent for a long time, answered, 'Yes, the skeleton came from your ancestor. After I obtained it, I refined it meticulously and turned it into my body.'" As expected, Chen Liangquan nodded. He was a mixed-blood descendant of the human race and the light race. He knew a long time ago that an ancestor of the Chen family had once mated with a light race expert and gave birth to a descendant. After that light race expert's identity was exposed, he was killed by the 5 supreme forces in the end. In the Chen family, there would be mixed-blood descendants of the light race appearing every few years. Once the light race bloodline was exposed, the Chen family would immediately examine it. If they found that their potential was insufficient, they would use medicine to suppress it so that the mixed blood Chen family members would not purposely cultivate high-grade spirit art. He would rather live a mediocre life than stand out and be targeted by the 5 supreme forces as a mixed blood. Over the generations, very few people knew of this secret of the Chen family. Even most of the Chen family members did not have the right to know because their status was not high enough. Until after Chen Liangquan was born, the ancestors of the Chen family secretly tested him and found that his light race bloodline had endless potential and displayed many mysteries and wonders. At this time, the Chen family adopted Chen Qinghuang and pushed the Chen family to the height of the number 1 family in the Qianxian continent. The Azure Phoenix Empire also became the Chen family's empire and was firmly controlled by this family. However, the ancestors of the Chen family all knew that when the day came that Chen Liangquan was a mixed blood was exposed, everything the Chen family had now, including Chen Liangquan, would be instantly destroyed by the 5 supreme forces. Therefore, Chen Liangquan led them to secretly contact the light race. The people of the light race saw an extremely rare bloodline in Chen Liangquan's body, so they fully supported Chen Liangquan. Then, the Chen family came into contact with the Shenhun sect and the Chamber of Commerce in outer space. After realizing that the Chen family had another path, then, Chen Liangquan successfully usurped the throne and forced the undying bird empress to disperse her cultivation from the carefree realm. Every few years, a mixed blood would suddenly appear in the Chen family. The source was the light race expert that was killed by the 5 supreme forces. He was also refined by White Bones and was the original owner of this skeleton. This was also the reason why Chen Liangquan bowed to White Bones. The person he bowed to wasn't White Bones of the Spectre God, but his dead ancestor of the light race. Long Jie. Yuan Qingxi of the Ghost Witch sect shouted angrily when the lecherous old dragon was about to land between them. Your dragon race is the same as our Ghost Witch sect and Earth Demon. You've also been suppressed by the dragon beheading platform for tens of thousands of years. But you're on Yu Yuan's side. Earth Demon Qinya in the wooden tablet, Huang Yin, and Earth Demon who had escaped from the Grey Fox all looked at Long Jie angrily because of Yuan Qingxi's words. In their hearts, Long Jie should lead the dragon race and fight side by side with them. But Long Jie was on the same side as their enemy. Look at you guys. You can only hide in the filthy world underground. The air here is filled with the smell of filth. I feel uncomfortable just by smelling it. Long Jie shook his head and pointed at the demons in front of him with his empty hand. How can you compare to the dragon race? Although the dragon race has fallen silent because of that war, we still live on the ground. Our dragon clan can still soar in the sky and roam in the deep sea. We can even go to the empires and choose people to serve us. Long Jie looked at them with disdain. He felt superior and couldn't be bothered to argue with the Ghost Witch sect and Earth demons. I'll take a look at Yu Yuan. Tan Chun Shan shook out a crescent moon from his sleeve and sank into the 7-colored lake. The crescent moon was a moon soul he had refined and could be used as an eye. Tan Chun Shan controlled the crescent moon that he had made by shattering a moon and taking its soul sank into the 7-colored lake. The crescent moon shone brightly in the 7-colored lake. No one except White Bones and Huang Yin could see what was happening at the bottom of the lake. But because of the crescent moon, Tan Chun Shan seemed to have put an eye in the lake. He became the 3rd person to be able to see the movements within the lake and the changes within it. Therefore, he saw a huge blood cocoon wrapped around a thin and strange body. Looking at the hole in his chest that was quickly healing, Yu Yuan floated toward the blood cocoon. Grek's unique blood essence came from the blood cocoon. It contained the secrets of the blood demon race's divine ability. Faint spatial ripples spread out from the blood cocoon. Yu Yuan, I'm Tan Chun Shan. Are you okay? His voice rang out from the crescent moon. The bright crescent moon was still slowly flying towards Yu Yuan of its own accord. Yu Yuan, who had turned the blood cocoon into a yang spirit and was about to refine Zhu Ying, was surprised when he heard this voice. Why did you come down? I'm up there with Long Jie and Chen Liangquan. This is just my eye. Let me see if you're dead first. I won't die. An earth demon progenitor called Zhu Ying and Luo Wei of the void spirit race merged into one. Zhu Ying and Luo Wei have a symbiotic relationship. They share Luo Wei's body. Yu Yuan explained. Luo Wei. Tan Chun Shan's voice changed instantly. Is the person wrapped in your blood cocoon the void spirit race's patriarch who has been missing for many years? The sixth-ranked peak warrior in the universe, Luo Wei? Yes, it's him. Yu Yuan gave an affirmative answer. Kid, you're really brave. Tell the whole city to stop work this morning. No one is allowed to leave the neighborhood. Chapter 1471. A faint soul shadow swayed exaggeratedly in the crescent moon. Traces of Tan Chun Shan could be vaguely seen in the soul shadow. He had merged a wisp of his soul consciousness into the moon and shouted at Yu Yuan. The crescent moon floated above Yu Yuan's head because of his strange shout. The seven-colored lake water became even more dazzling under the light of the bright crescent moon. Yu Yuan looked up and discovered that the seven-colored lake water had turned into rays of divine light that fell from above due to the light of the crescent moon. I've always been bold. Is this the first time you've heard of this? Yu Yuan smiled brightly. When he heard that Long Jie and Chen Liangquan had also arrived, he suddenly felt a lot more at ease. He had been worried that the cauldron's soul Yu Yi wouldn't be able to withstand Huang Yin's attacks after he left. Since Tan Chun Shan and the other two had arrived, he believed that Yu Yi should be safe on the surface of the lake. He didn't even need to ask. You don't know how terrifying Luo Wei is. Tan Chun Shan's wisp of soul consciousness said emotionally inside the crescent moon, let alone you, even if the great demon god Grek came here in person, with the divine abilities and secret arts of the blood devil race, he wouldn't be able to extract even a wisp of Luo Wei's blood essence from his body. Yu Yuan suddenly frowned when he heard this. Since his true body and yang spirit were both at the bottom of the lake, they naturally maintained a close connection at all times. With rapt attention, he slowly realized that the gigantic blood cocoon formed by the yang spirit had wrapped around Luo Wei's illusory body. What it had deprived him of was only the soul will and the tainted power refined by Jian Ying. As the progenitor of the Earth Devils, Jian Ying had borrowed Luo Wei's body to cultivate the Earth Devil secret arts at the seven-colored lake. Therefore, he had refined the tainted energy of the seven-colored lake in the depths of Luo Wei's flesh. Inside Luo Wei's soul, there were also strands of devil soul distracting thoughts that had been fused by phantom. When Jian Ying gained full control of this body, when she moved around in Luo Wei's body, most of the power she used was familiar to her. It was the earth demon soul technique she had cultivated for tens of thousands of years. There was also the profound meaning of filth in this area. However, the Shenhun sect's soul incantations seemed to be able to restrain earth devils like her and ghost magus grand cultivators like Yuan Qingxi. Because of this, not only did she fail to gain an advantage with her own power and her evil soul trick, but she also suffered a great loss. On the other hand, the snow-white hand she had created with Luo Wei's spatial energy had shown remarkable result. At this moment, the blood cocoon formed by Yu Yuan's yang spirit had been stripped of its power by the blood demon race's secret technique. It was only the part that Jie Ying had refined into Luo Wei's body. Luo Wei's innate void spirit blood power didn't flow out in the slightest. He immediately realized that Tan Chun Shan wasn't talking nonsense. The High Chieftain of the Void Spirits hadn't shown his power yet. He had only allowed Jian Ying to do whatever she wanted. Isn't this Luo Wei one rank lower than the great demon god Grek? Yu Yuan muttered. In the crescent moon, Tan Chun Shan's soul shadow was blurry and dim. However, upon hearing his words, it started to sway violently again. You really don't know how terrifying Luo Wei is. To tell you the truth, the reason why Luo Wei is ranked lower than Grek is because he has been missing for far too long. Because he hasn't shown up for so long, Grek has gradually overtaken him. However, before he went missing, he was ranked second only to Bertuns of the primal demon race, Kadoras of the Radiance, and Sabonis of the Shura of Gojoseon in the Starry River. He was ranked higher than Baylor of the Stars. His ranking dropped because everyone thought he was lost in the chaos hole of the abyss, which made it difficult for him to improve his strength. Plus, he would slowly lose his original strength. That's why Baylor and Grek were ranked higher than him. Do you know that he has been missing for who knows how many years, and no one dared to think he was dead? When Tan Chun Shan learned that it was Luo Wei who was wrapped in the blood cocoon, he was clearly shocked. After hearing his words, Yu Yuan, who was wrapped in Luo Wei's body with his yang god, also felt that things were going to be tricky. He even had a feeling that. Try not to let Luo Wei come out. Don't let Luo Wei take back control of this body and make Jiying disappear. After all, the Earth Devil ancestor Jian Ying couldn't bring out the true strength of this body at all. Hurry up and return to the surface. Stay one with the dragon beheading platform. Tan Chun Shan's sharp whistle came from within the crescent moon, sounding very anxious. Who is it? Who's down there? Above the rainbow lake, Long Jie and Chen Liangquan both noticed the great change in Tan Chun Shan's expression and knew that his crescent moon must have been discovered under the lake. I have a very bad feeling. It's really, really bad. As Tan Chun Shan spoke, crescent moons flew out of his body in midair one after another. He started to be on full alert among the crescent moons. The legendary demigod Tan of the Stellar Luna sect is indeed extraordinary. Yuan Qingxi of the Ghost Witch sect nodded lightly and said with admiration, Peak Freedom Realm, demigod power. Although it's a compliment, it's enough to show that the five forces acknowledge you. Who is it? Chen Liangquan shouted again. The Void Spirit Race's patriarch, who has been missing for many years and is rumored to have been lost in the chaos hole of the abyss. The other is the Earth Devil ancestor, whose soul has merged with his. From the looks of it, he must have received his permission and recognition. Tan Chun Shan smiled bitterly. Luo Wei. Chen Liangquan, who had always been calm, suddenly floated away from the white bone and chose to stand with Long Jie and Tan Chun Shan. His left hand, which was hidden in his sleeve, held a crystal ball with obvious cracks. Streams of pure bloodline power were injected into the crystal ball from his palm. Chen Liangquan's hand suddenly shone with boundless radiance, illuminating the seven-colored lake and the area within 1,000 miles of it. The light and divine light released by the crystal ball surpassed the crescent moons behind Tan Chun Shan. I admire you. Truly admirable. Yuan Qingxi clapped his hands and looked at Chen Liangquan using the Radiant Race's sacred artifact. He felt the Radiant Race's bloodline tremble and said sincerely, Now I know why you were able to oust the strongest empress of all time from the throne of the Azure Phoenix Empire. As part of the human race, you're only at the Sun God realm. It's not too shocking. But the Radiant Race's bloodline in you is at rank 9. Yuan Qingxi had a look of amazement on his face. It was common knowledge that human cultivators, from low to high, would grow faster than outsiders of the same age. Most mixed bloods had foreign bloodlines in them, so it was almost impossible for them to have a higher cultivation than their own. Normally speaking, mixed bloods like Chen Liangquan would have a bloodline that was 1 or 2 levels lower. Chen Liangquan had cultivated the Sun God realm, and the Radiant Race's bloodline was 2 levels lower, between the 6th and 7th levels. It was extremely rare to see a bloodline of the same level. But he was a Sun God realm human, and the Radiant Race's bloodline had reached rank 9. He had kept a low profile in Howren and often showed himself as a human. Who would have thought that the radiant race's bloodline in him would be so powerful? I'm not as strong as you. Chen Liangquan frowned and looked at the crescent moon rising under the lake. A progenitor of the earth demon race has merged into the body of the patriarch of the void spirits and received his approval. This is really surprising. It seems that I underestimated the earth demons in the past and thought that they were only worthy of being enslaved by me. He had tamed a few earth demons in the Blue Luan Empire, and he didn't think there was anything special about them. But now, he didn't think so. Whoosh. First, it was the crescent moon, then Yu Yuan, and then a streak of crimson blood light flew out of the seven-colored lake. The moment the streak of crimson blood light left the lake, it instantly entered Yu Yuan's chest. The hole in his chest shrank from the size of a fist to the size of a finger. You brought my senior brother here. When Yu Yuan landed on the dragon beheading platform, he saw the shrunken pill furnace in Long Jie's hand and his eyes lit up. Everyone, be careful. Luo Wei is hiding at the bottom of the seven-colored lake. Give me the pill furnace. He reached out to Long Jie. Yes. Long Jie handed it over naturally. Come out. Huang Yin and the figure under the lake called out in unison with demonic voices. When the pill furnace left Long Jie's hand, Zhong Qichen madly slammed the lid. Streaks of seven-colored light flowed out of the gap in the lid. Zhong Qichen's eyes turned deep purple inside the pill furnace as he glared fiercely at Yu Yuan, who was taking over the furnace. Clusters of seven-colored clouds flew out of the top of his head and gathered evil thoughts and devil energy. They turned purple and accelerated the speed of his devilization. Senior brother, you'll be fine. I promise, Yu Yuan said gently. Chapter 1472. A hand and a shriveled, claw-like rapier shadow covered Luo Wei's body and floated out of the seven-colored lake. She and Huang Yin looked at Yu Yuan at the same time and let out a demonic sound to summon Zhong Qichen. The ear-piercing demonic sound of the two earth demon progenitors working together made Zhong Qichen's demonization speed increase several times. Zhong Qichen's eyes had turned deep purple as he crazily hit the lid of the cauldron. It was exactly the same as the purple demonic fire in Huang Yin's eye sockets and the rapier shadow's eyes. It looked as if he had successfully demonized and was about to transform into an earth demon. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh! Thousands of seven-colored lightning bolts shot out of the lake and merged into the crimson cauldron. The lightning bolts quickly flew into Zhong Qichen's body along the strange flame patterns engraved on the cauldron. Zhong Qichen's seven-colored body was like a piece of crystal, beautiful and magnificent. However, it was filled with great terror. A strange energy that was no weaker than Huang Yin's body crazily gathered in Zhong Qichen's seven-colored body. It also increased the force of his impact on the cauldron lid. It's too late. His demonization can no longer be reversed. Long Jie shook his head. The golden threads wrapped around the crimson cauldron were also corroded by the pure, filthy lightning from the seven-colored lake. Seeing the cauldron gradually grow bigger and about to return to its original form, Long Jie said, "Your senior brother can't hold on anymore. Don't waste your energy. Just destroy his demonic soul." The old dragon now called Zhong Qichen's soul a demonic soul. This meant that he really didn't think highly of Zhong Qichen. Under the spell of the two earth demon progenitors, he could still reverse the form of his soul and turn it from a demon to a human. Yu Yuan, if you can't do it, why don't you let me do it? Chen Liangquan held a shattered crystal ball in one hand and activated its power, releasing an incomparably pure and holy aura that could purify the filth of the world. His other hand was in a position to receive the cauldron and wipe out Zhong Qichen's demonic soul with its holy light. Senior Chen, don't be so polite. I don't need you to do it for me. Yu Yuan rejected immediately. He could sense that once Chen Liangquan obtained the pill furnace, his senior martial brother Zhong Chichen's soul and body would rapidly melt away. Chen Liangquan's bright light bloodline and the shattered crystal ball had a great suppressive effect on filth and evil beings. This was perhaps the reason why Chen Liangquan dared to come down. "Don't worry, I can handle it." After Yu Yuan shouted, he placed the enlarged scarlet pill furnace on the dragon's subduing platform. His main body, on the other hand, landed lightly on the lid of the cauldron. He stepped on the trembling lid of the cauldron and looked at Huang Yini first. Then, he looked back at Jianying. Jianying's eyes were still deep purple, which meant that she was still in control of this body. Yu Yuan calmed down slightly. After listening to Tan Chun Shan's explanation, he had a feeling that Luo Wei was at his weakest when his eyes were deep purple. One seven-colored eye and the other deep purple eye meant that Luo Wei and Jianying shared this body. They were in an intermediate state. However, if both eyes of this body were seven-colored, it meant that Luo Wei's soul had completely overshadowed Jianying's, and he had regained control of this body. That would be the true return of Luo Wei, and also his strongest state. "Are you all right?" As he transmitted his thoughts to Yui, he instantly received many streams of memories. After he landed on the Rainbow Lake, everything that happened on the surface of the lake, Huang Yin's attack, the words he said, the details of the battle between the Cauldron Soul Yui and Huang Yin, the arrival of Tan Junshan and the other two men, as long as you're fine. Yu Yuan nodded and infused his soul awareness into the dragon's subduing platform. Immediately afterwards, he saw tiny seven-colored dragons flying out of the dragon's subduing platform and merging into the pill furnace like the colorful lightning in the seven-color lake. The dragon breath left behind by the space-time dragon in the Fiend Demon Cauldron had proven its ability to suppress the power of filth. The space-time dragon that had been purposely left behind on the dragon's subduing platform was the key to suppressing the Earth Devils. The space-time dragon. Huang Yin and Jianying, the two progenitors of the Earth Devils, frowned when they saw the dragon breath flying towards the pill furnace. "We can't stay here for long." Long Jie's gaze swept across the Earth Devils and Yuan Qingshi. Then, he looked at the unmoving white bones and felt that something was wrong. "I think so too. We should leave as soon as possible." Tan Chun Shan agreed with a dry laugh. The crescent moons behind him started to gather. After learning that Jianying and Luo Wei shared the same body and had received Luo Wei's approval, Tan Chun Shan started to think of retreating. He didn't want to be entangled with these people in this underground world of filth. "Shall we go then?" Chen Liangquan asked with a smile for Yu Yuan's opinion. Yu Yuan looked at the white bones. The white bones nodded imperceptibly. "Let's go." Yu Yuan didn't hesitate anymore. He stepped on the dragon's subduing platform and activated the space-time dragon's superpower, causing the platform to ripple with colorful light. He wanted to leave this place. Chen Liangquan, Tan Chun Shan, and Long Jie had a tacit understanding. Seeing that he didn't insist, they also turned into 3 streaks of lightning and rushed into the sky. The 3 of them smelled the scent of danger and sensed the hidden danger. Not long after the old monsters came down, they noticed Yuan Qingshi and the elegant demonic shadow in the wooden tablet. Even Huang Yin was looking at the white bones. The way these evil overlords looked at the white bones was very strange. The 3 of them also thought that in front of the thatched hut, Canli had magnified the power of meteor eyes by many times. Originally, she could see everything on the 7-colored lake. But because the white bones suddenly raised their heads, not only were they unable to see the whole thing, but Canli was also injured because of it. The white bones' position was thought-provoking. There was also Luo Wei, the void spirit, who allowed Jianying to do whatever he wanted. Before the situation went out of control, he was like a huge shadow, hiding in the dark and not in a hurry to show himself. It seemed that he would only intervene when Jian-Ing couldn't control the situation and was in danger. For example, now, oh, the wonderful aura of the space-time dragon. Luo Wei's slow and low voice sounded without warning when Yu Yuan and the others chose to rise into the air and withdraw from the tainted underground world. The deep purple eye that belonged to his body suddenly turned seven-colored. Luo Wei's soul seemed to be attracted by the colorful light rippling from the dragon's subduing platform. He looked at the dragon's subduing platform with his seven-colored eye. He also looked at the other three people who were rushing to the surface with the dragon's subduing platform. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh! The sky above Yu Yuan and the others was filled with colorful clouds in an instant. Different spaces were mixed in the colorful clouds. It gave people the feeling that if they followed their current trajectory, they would rush from this world to different unknown places. He, Yu Yuan, Long Jie, Tan Chun Shan, and Chen Liangquan would be separated into different places. Perhaps they would never find the hope of returning to Howren or even the real universe in their lifetime. Luo Wei, Tan Chun Shan, and Chen Liangquan's expressions changed. Long Jie suddenly stopped. This old ancestor of the dragon race in Howren narrowed his golden eyes and looked coldly at the patriarch of the void spirits below. You seem to be very hostile to the seven-colored dragon god of my race. Shouldn't I be? Luo Wei, who only had one seven-colored eye, revealed a faint sneer at the corner of his mouth. In that ancient era, when the space-time dragon relied on his understanding of the mysteries of space to harm the races in the outer space, we void spirits were the main force against him. Over the long years, his biggest obstacle and opponent in outer space was none other than us, the void spiritualists. I don't know how many void spirits have been killed by him. As the patriarch of the void spirits, shouldn't I hate him? Shouldn't I be hostile to him? Luo Wei asked. The old dragon was speechless. Chapter 1473. In front of the grass hut, Canli and Lu Ying stood on the falling star eyes and focused their attention on the jade platform that could reflect the seven-colored lake. As Tan Chun Shan's crescent moon flew out of the lake and Yu Yuan left the lake, the scene on the jade platform suddenly started to blur. Bang! Flowing light sputtered out of the jade platform, causing Canli and Lu Ying, who were circulating their bloodlines, to turn pale. Feng Zhong and the guest elders of the medicine god sect who were surrounding the falling star eyes also felt their hearts grow heavy. Mr. Feng, someone interfered with our spying. Lu Ying spread her hands helplessly and motioned to Feng Zhong of the Chamber of Commerce. However, I don't think there will be any problems. The old patriarch of the dragon race, old Tan of our sect, and that human emperor, I believe they will come out soon. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light. When Yu Yuan flew out of the seven-colored lake, she saw that Yu Yuan was fine and relaxed. She felt that she would be able to meet Yu Yuan soon. I think so too, Canli said with a smile. The two girls' unreserved trust in Yu Yuan made Feng Zhong a little speechless. I hope he's fine. He frowned inwardly. He couldn't see white bone of the ghost god in the falling star eyes. Yuan Qingxi, the earth demon in the tomb tablet, and Huang Yin all looked in the same direction with strange gazes from time to time. That direction was the blind spot of the falling star eyes. It was a place that couldn't be seen. And by Gu, the only scene where the meteorite star eyes appeared happened to be standing in this position. Feng Zhong couldn't help but think. Crack! Long, narrow, and bright blades of light appeared behind Tan Chun Shan where the crescent moons were. In the depths of the rainbow clouds above everyone's heads, more blades of light that were 300 meters long suddenly appeared in large numbers as if they were pulled out from another space. Luo Wei, whose one eye was seven-colored, suddenly fell silent when he saw Long Xie speechless. Luo Wei chose to attack directly. His shriveled arm made a pulling gesture towards the surface of the seven-colored lake. Whoosh! A thick and wide bone shaft, dark green in color and sharp at both ends, instantly fell into his rapidly expanding hand. Gently grasping the center of his knuckles, Luo Wei shot a glance at Tan Chun Shan and said, "You understand me quite well, you also brought that brat out from the lake. But do you really think that you can easily escape after coming down?" Multicolored light abruptly shone from the part of the cyan bone that he was gripping. Then, the giant spear-like bone disappeared into thin air in his palm. With a bang, the crescent moon behind Tan Chun Shan's back was pierced by the two sharp bone joints. Tan Chun Shan's expression suddenly changed. He didn't dare to hesitate any longer and immediately summoned his Dharma idol. His Dharma form, which was supposed to be huge and majestic, had turned into a crescent moon stone due to his extreme restraint and refinement. All of a sudden, the remaining crescent moons started to spin around the crescent moons that were condensed from his Dharma idol. Flawless moonlight spilled out from within, bringing with it a gentle aura that could purify one's soul and calm one's soul. It was a gentle aura that could make one lose interest in battle. Chi! Bang! Bang! The crescent moons that filled the sky clashed with the spatial blades that had suddenly appeared in the colorful clouds, creating a rain of light that filled the sky. "Don't waste any more time. Leave this place quickly." Tan Chun Shan's voice came from the small crescent moonstone, sounding very urgent. "It's useless against me." A small crescent moon appeared in Luo Wei's multicolored eyes. Tan Chun Shan's secret mind art only existed for a second, vanishing in the blink of an eye after Luo Wei blinked. "Senior Long, Mr. Chen, be careful of the omnipresent doors." Tan Chun Shan's voice rang out from the real crescent moon. The crescent moons turned into moon soul crystals the size of fingernails and merged with the crescent moon. The crescent moon suddenly shrank to the size of a grain and continued to fly upward, constantly avoiding the doors that led to different spaces in the colorful clouds. Amidst the rain of light, the tiny silver specks dodged nimbly, their trajectories beautiful. Tan Chun Shan's Dharma idol, which was as large as a bright moon and as small as a mustard seed, knew that it was no match for Luo Wei and only wanted to escape. A very smart guy. Luo Wei nodded, and palm-sized colorful clouds intercepted the tiny specks of moonlight at an even faster speed. Every colorful cloud corresponded to a secret space door that he had scouted and left the exact coordinates of. Tan Chun Shan's Dharma idol, which was as small as a grain of rice, would enter a cold, empty, and unknown space if it accidentally entered any secret door. It was even possible that it would appear directly in a space crack and be instantly dissected by the sharp spatial blade. Even the Yao gods of the Goblin Temple and the supreme existences of the Howren would be severely injured if they were pulled into a space crack, let alone Tan Chun Shan. Or they would die inside. Go! The bone that broke a crescent moon shone with colorful light in the air. The sharp tip of the spear pointed at Long Jie. Roar! Long Jie roared and sank slightly. He instantly changed from his human form to his 10,000-meter-long shining dragon body. It looked like a great wall made of gold that stretched in the air above the Rainbow Lake. Amplified by the light from Chen Liangchuan's shattered crystal ball, the golden dragon scales lit up the entire seven-colored lake, as well as all of the tainted worlds that Yu Yuan could see, with a golden light. In Yu Yuan's senses, the laws and great Daos of this world were subtly changing wherever the golden light shone. Clang! The sharp bone that Luo Wei controlled to stab at Long Jie was like a small toothpick compared to the enormous dragon body of this old lecherous dragon. The bone stabbed at one of the old dragon's scales. Only one of the dragon's scales was broken. This golden dragon is quite extraordinary, Luo Wei was slightly surprised. The moment Long Jie revealed his dragon body, the laws hidden in the dirty underground world quietly changed. They became more suitable for Long Jie to fight, and they also affected the secret space doors that he opened. Some of the secret space doors were shattered by the laws of Howren when they came into contact with Long Jie, and exploded into balls of colorful light. He's the golden dragon with the purest bloodline in Howren right now. If he was born 100,000 years ago, Long Jie would be the dragon god and the ruler of the entire dragon race. Don't underestimate Long Jie. If it weren't for the existence of the dragon beheading platform, even the 5 supreme forces wouldn't be able to suppress him. There's one more thing. The laws of heaven and earth did change, not long ago. They have become extremely indulgent towards the dragons of Howren. Ming Ying's voice came from her deep purple eyes. She seemed to be fighting alongside Luo Wei in her demonic shadow form. She told Luo Wei in detail about Long Jie's background and how difficult it was to deal with him. Yes, because we only know that dragon of space and time the best, we neglected the golden dragon. I almost forgot that the golden dragon god in the legends was the high chieftain of the dragons. That one has a level 10 dragon body that can penetrate all barriers and barriers. It can penetrate all stars, land, and space. Luo Wei said softly. Fortunately, Long Jie hasn't become a dragon god yet, and his bloodline is only at the peak of the 9th grade. No matter how refined his dragon blood is, it's still at the 9th grade. If he hasn't reached the 10th grade, he won't be able to activate the most terrifying power of his bloodline, and he won't be a match for me. As he spoke, Luo Wei walked towards Chen Liangquan unhurriedly. Chen Liangquan's expression was grim. Yu Yuan, who was standing on the dragon beheading platform with his feet on the lid of the cauldron, was dumbfounded. Luo Wei had used the dragon of space and time to take back part of the ownership from Mingying. However, Luo Wei's first targets were Tan Chun Shan, Long Jie, and Chen Liangquan. It seemed that Luo Wei had temporarily forgotten about him. On the lake, Yuan Qingxi, Huang Yin, and all the other evil titans remained silent. They didn't even whisper to each other. All of their attention was focused on Luo Wei, as if they believed that since Luo Wei had the intention to attack, he would definitely win. Little Qi. Faint soul fluctuations came from the pill cauldron under his feet, and his senior martial brother's soft voice rang out. Yu Yuan looked down and found that his senior martial brother had stopped madly hitting the lid of the cauldron at some point. He had calmed down. According to Du Yazi, his senior martial brother would usually regain his consciousness after going crazy for a long time. Senior martial brother. Yu Yuan's heart suddenly surged. You're awake? You've finally woken up? I have so many things to ask you. He was so excited that he couldn't speak coherently. Let me out first. I have something to tell you, Zhong Qichen said with a pained expression. All right. Yu Yuan immediately moved away from the lid of the cauldron and crouched in front of it. He asked with concern, How do you feel? I feel great. I've never felt better. Zhong Qichen smiled, and the pained expression on his face slowly faded away. The moment Yu Yuan flew away, Zhong Qichen lifted the lid of the pill cauldron and floated in midair. It's been 300 years. I never thought that we would meet again in this world where earth demons and specters run rampant. Chapter 1474. Yes, I'm awake, but you, Zhong Qichen looked at the excited Yu Yuan with a strange expression. The smile on his face was full of playfulness. It seemed that he found Yu Yuan quite interesting at this moment. Dressed in a light blue robe, he exuded an ethereal aura. When the corners of his lips were slightly raised, he was free and uninhibited. However, the him in front of him was different from the senior brother in Yu Yuan's impression. The original senior brother was slightly dull and old-fashioned. He was also quite strict with him. At this moment, his senior brother had an ethereal and unrestrained aura. It's been too long. It's really been too long. It's been so long that I'm about to forget myself. Zhong Qichen opened his arms and made a gesture of hugging the entire world. His handsome face, which was emitting 7 colored rays of light, was full of intoxication and joy. It was as if a wanderer who had drifted in the outer realms for countless years had finally set foot on his homeland. All the auras in this world made him feel wonderful and intoxicated, whether good or bad. It was only because this world once belonged to him. It was only because he was born here. Senior brother? Yu Yuan was startled. He was afraid that something unexpected had happened. He was afraid that he had successfully demonized and used the evil secret technique of the Earth Demon to confuse him. Therefore, he secretly activated his all-seeing eye and used the power of the dragon-slaying platform. Therefore, Yu Yuan focused his eyes and took a closer look. He saw that the tainted power flowing through Zhong Chichen's flesh and blood was being devoured and refined by the tiny colorful dragons that were the remnants of the dragon of space and time's dragon breath that had flown away from the dragon beheading platform. His senior brother's body did not become the source of filth as he had expected. Instead, it gave him a feeling of cleanliness. What was even more unexpected was that the little seven-colored dragons did not obediently return to the dragon-slaying platform after helping his senior brother wash away the filth in his body. Instead, they merged into his senior brother's bones and disappeared into his heart. Because he had activated his all-seeing eye, he discovered that there were seven-colored young dragons in his senior brother's heart that were slowly merging into his flesh wall and gradually crystallizing. Now, they looked like strange bloodline crystal chains. At some point in time, the ribs closest to senior brother's heart had turned into seven colors and were emitting magnificent divine light. "I'm fine." Zhong Chichen's mouth twitched into a smile again. Then, his gaze, along with the smile on his lips, looked playfully at the specter god's white bones, then at Yuan Qingxi and one of the Earth Devil progenitors, Huang Yin. In the end, his gaze landed on Long Jie, who was like a golden great wall, and he sighed. The way he looked at Long Jie was different from the way he looked at other people. It was as if he was an elder of the clan looking at an outstanding member of the younger generation. These fellows actually thought that they could control the trajectory of our lives. They thought that by seeing something extraordinary, they could change the trajectory of our fate. Zhong Chichen had a mocking expression as he captured all the people, ghosts, and evil demons present in one fell swoop. This included White Bones, Huang Yin, Zhuing, and even Luo Wei of the Void Spirit race. It was also at this moment that Yu Yuan shuddered. With the help of the power of the dragon beheading platform and the extreme intelligence soul-tempering art, he switched his attention from his senior brother's body to his senior brother's soul. He was afraid that what he would see would be a dark purple devil soul. That would mean that his senior brother had successfully demonized, and he would be powerless to reverse the situation. However, what he saw, or what his senior brother purposely let him see, was his senior brother's Yin God, a projection of the Yang God, and his senior brother's main soul. In the depths of his senior brother's main soul, there was a mysterious soul imprint. This soul imprint was in the shape of a dragon. It was colorful and extremely dazzling. The dragon of space and time. Yu Yuan's body suddenly stiffened, and his expression became sluggish. Countless questions surged into his mind, but he couldn't say a word. "Hey!" Zhong Chichen took the initiative to come up to him, put his hand on his shoulder, and winked at him. He said meaningfully, "You and I have fought side by side for so many years. You promised me that you would let me take back what belongs to me in the form of a new life." Yu Yuan was in a trance. He was very vigilant, but when Zhong Chichen's hand really landed on his shoulder, time and space seemed to be reversed. In an instant, he seemed to be standing at the port of time and space, and seemed to see a soul shadow. The massive soul shadow summoned the space-time dragon, who was far away in the vast earth, and hurriedly completed a transaction. It released the last wisp of dragon soul imprisoned in the dragon beheading platform in the skull of the space-time dragon. It obtained the chance to keep its soul imprint and distort time and space to be reborn. The deal was completed in an instant. The huge soul shadow unsealed the seal, allowing the last wisp of the spacetime dragon's soul to obtain great freedom. The dragon beheading platform, which was separated by an endless sea of stars, suddenly exerted its power. In an instant, it crossed countless spaces and took back the soul imprint that had been left behind after its death. In order to avoid any accidents, the dragon's soul and the soul imprint hid in an unknown space that the spacetime dragon had explored. Tens of thousands of years later, a dragon's soul and a soul imprint of the supreme nascent divinity realm broke through space together and returned to the Howran Great World. One of them became the Haunch. The other became Zhongqichen. The spacetime dragon was killed by the dragon slayer, and only a wisp of dragon soul was left, which was sealed in the dragon beheading platform for many years. Countless years later, the dragon slayer wielded this divine artifact and killed all the stars in the universe. It proved that the Howran would be more powerful than the dragon race after being ruled by the human race. The seven-colored divine dragon was a witness and a direct participant in most of the resplendent divine wars. Unfortunately, in that last battle, the dragon beheading platform fell to the Howran Great World for various reasons. A bunch of clowns. Zhongqichen smiled as he retracted his hand. Once again, he winked at Yu Yuan and said, "You have to remember that you have to keep your promise." Yu Yuan was still in a daze. "I originally thought that you would send me inside. I was looking forward to it." Zhongqichen looked regretfully at the white luster platform under his feet, as if he could see his former seven-colored divine dragon body scattered in the world below after being cut off. "It's a pity that I couldn't go down. That's a little regretful." He shook his head and narrowed his eyes at the Void Spirit Clan's patriarch. No one knew what he was thinking. Inside the dragon beheading platform, inside the spacetime dragon's body, countless seven-colored streaks of light were trying to rush out and merge into his body. As the owner of the dragon beheading platform, Yu Yuan could see that the seven-colored streaks of light were constantly colliding with the sky curtain of the dragon beheading platform, just like how Zhongqichen had collided with the furnace lid. He could choose to let it go or not. "You owe me in the first place." Zhongqichen suddenly looked over with a slightly bitter expression. After hesitating for a moment, Yu Yuan's mind moved, and he simply released the restriction. Thousands of seven-colored streaks of light instantly flew out of the dragon beheading platform and merged into Zhongqichen's body like swallows returning to their nest. They fell into his yang spirit and bones, circling and taking root in his heart. The expressions of Huang Yin, Yuan Qingxi, and the elegant demonic shadow in the wooden tomb tablet changed quietly. "Huang Yin, did you expect this to happen?" Yuan Qingxi took a deep breath, and his mood suddenly became heavy. "You took a fancy to him and thought that he had the potential to become a demon. You thought that he met the requirements in all aspects. But why did it become like this? His demonization is gone just like that? I think he's more awake than ever. We only believed that he could succeed through the state of his body and the changes in his soul." Also, his body is very easy to merge with the taint supernatural ability. He was indeed the best choice to become the source of the taint. But Huang Yin was also confused. Whoosh! The earth demon that flew out of the gray fox's body and gathered together was cut into pieces by an out-of-control spatial blade and suddenly disappeared into an unknown spatial crack. This demon's death could be said to be inexplicable. "Jian Ing." Huang Yin raised his head and looked at Luo Wei, who was fighting 1 against 3 and making the lascivious old dragon, Tan Chun Shan, and Chun Liangquan work together but still be defeated. "Please control his power. It's just a small accident." Jiang Ying's demonic voice came from Roi's purple eyes. The Earth Devil progenitor was also a little puzzled. He didn't understand why a spatial blade and a hidden door would suddenly appear near the Earth Devil that was residing in the Grey Fox, and why it would suddenly die. Stay away from the sky. Don't try to get close, and don't try to help. Because you can't help Luowei. Jian Ing continued. Yu Yuan looked surprised. Looking at his senior brother who was standing side by side with him, he guessed that his senior brother must have secretly made a move and began to use his influence on space to do something magical. This guy called Luowei wants to take back the dragon beheading platform. After all, it's his to begin with. Zhong Qichen rubbed his chin, not panicking at all. Jian Ing was actually able to find Luowei, who was deep in the abyss, and even helped him come to Howran. At this point, Zhong Qichen's eyes turned cold. I hate hearing the sound of butterflies flapping. It's very ear-piercing. Whoosh! Long, narrow, and bright white blades suddenly fell from the sky and slashed toward Yuan Qingxi, Huang Yin, and the tombstone. The 300-meter-long spatial blades carried the law of space, causing the expressions of the three evil overlords to change. They scattered in panic and yelled at Jian Ing. Whoosh! Whoosh! Ming Yao's white blade slashed at the seven-colored lake, splitting the lake water into pieces. The seven-colored lake water was cut into pieces like tofu. Then, the white blades reached the bottom of the lake and left deep marks. It's not us. Jian Ying's voice came from Luowei's purple eyes again, sounding somewhat anxious. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.